want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right, so that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then, what is this? Says squeeze a quarter-size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack, but then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And dang, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day. Right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you're going between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege Hanley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Tiege commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally, because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order, and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. It is Thursday, April 18th, 2024, year of our Lord. Yeah, man, we made it to another day. We made it to another day. What are you going to do with the day that God gave you? I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your illustrious host, and I am the person that hopefully adds. Let me see why I got that over there. I'm the person that hopefully adds as much value into your life, just getting you guys up on the screen really quickly as I possibly can. What up, friends? What's happening? Dusty must be the new Sprinkle. What up, Vanessa? What up, Rich Reloaded? What up, True to Myself, Azriel, Sabrina, Everybody in the chat, I got an early super chatter. Let me go ahead and acknowledge the super chatters really quickly. Shout out to Speeds the B says, shout out to you, brother. You killing it. Great show last night. I appreciate you, Speeds. Thank you, big dog. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you, Speeds, for holding me down. Let me acknowledge a couple of the cash appers. Of course, we got the usual suspects, my dog Michael. Shout out to Mike. I appreciate you. And then my other dog, Mike, that dude, in the building. Fukari Fairy says, hey, Anton, hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a better one. If you hope I'm having a great day, I hope you're having a better one. Shout out to Speeds the B. Shout out to everybody that support the platform and doing what y'all doing. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are the greatest people on the face of this earth. Got my dog Brock in the building. What up, Brock? Brock says, listen, fam, I got that pass of love offering for you. Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Brock. I don't ask for super chats. I don't ask for cash apps. But what I do is I like to acknowledge the people no matter what it is you give, $1, whatever. We always going to acknowledge the people because we're appreciative and we're thankful. I was thanking God this morning for everything. Like I couldn't even get into my prayer because I like to actually pray for people or pray for things or petition God for some direction for what I want my life to look like. And I couldn't even do that because I was just thinking about every single little, big, small, being alive today, opportunity to be able to even be in my right mind and be in good health and having health insurance and being born in the United States of America and having cars and a community of people that I can hopefully drive to be better than they were before they got to me. And, you know, the Chasers. Shout out to the Chasers. Let me give a round of applause for the Chasers. I appreciate y'all, Chasers. Shout out to my dog Quentin in the building. Brittany B is in the building. All of y'all, I appreciate y'all. I really do. I appreciate every last one of y'all, and I always like to say it. I always like to acknowledge it because it does not go unnoticed. The small things, the big things, everybody that hit a like on the way in the door, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to rock out with me, all right? Let me do a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, shout out to Tiege Hanley. 30% off your first order plus 20% off for life. You know that link is in the description. I don't even have to say it. Also, if you're not a part of the Bag Chasers, the Patreon members, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I shouldn't have to say it. You know what you're supposed to do. You know what you got to do. You're not new to this. Make sure you tap in. Make sure you tap in. If y'all did not look at the live stream from last night, you should have. You should have. It was an awesome live stream. That's going to be there. Listen, y'all. I was thinking about it this morning before we got into this show because the name of this show is, hold on, let me just make sure that I document that because I'm going to just go ahead and knock out that. The name of this show is Middle Class, right? And the reason that I named this thing Middle Class is because I believe that we have a very dysfunctional view of what being middle class is, of what being in the middle is, of what average is, even of what our goals should be. And I get a lot of reports and then I have to do a deep dive and I have to do some research to understand where this data is coming from and if it's even true. And then I start to zero in on certain cities. So if, for example, they tell me, hey, man, a rent moratorium is up and it's a whole bunch of evictions throughout the country, I want to know where and what demographic and what neighborhoods and what cities are the most affected. And if they say that crime is it's exploding over here, I want to know what kind of crime. Is it petty crime? Is it theft? Is it retail? Is it shootings? What is it, right? And so as I'm going through this stuff and as I'm looking and I'm really putting it together, and I think that the conversation needs to evolve even more, right? Because what we often say is how much money you got. And you equate whether or not somebody is doing well by whether or not they can buy a lot of stuff. It's the cars, it's the clothes, it's the jewelry, it's the rappers, it's the lifestyle flying here and there and so on and so forth, right? But then when you look at, and I start to peel behind the curtain, so for example, I may be talking to or maybe having a conversation about something that an NBA player has said, and then you go in and you look at the data and the statistics, and regardless of how much money a lot of these guys, on average, that means that if you take the collective and then you divide it by how many people actually did it, then you get the average. And the average NBA player, for example, the average NFL, NBA player, major sports league player goes broke within 5 years of leaving their respective sport. 5. On average. That means you take the whole group, you divide it by how many people in a group, and that's how you get your data and your talking point. On average, 5 people. Shout out to Think and Throw Podcast. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. I appreciate you. 5 years before they go bankrupt. Lifestyle, money. And everybody say, yo, if I was making that type of money, I would do it different. But no, you wouldn't. You would be in the same boat as everybody else because they just like you. They're just like you. And so I started to deep dive into some stuff. And then I said, well, you know, we've already talked about the fact that you don't want to look at wealth from how much money you got in the bank or how much money you make. You want to look at it based off of net worth, right? And so I beat this into y'all head and I say net worth, net worth, net worth, net worth, net worth. And what is net worth? It's the assets minus the liabilities, and that's how much money you're worth. It doesn't matter how much money you got in the bank. It matters how much money you got access to, right? And so your net worth is largely the number that we use to gauge or to determine whether or not you are solidly this or you solidly that. Are you rich? Are you poor? Are you middle class? Could you be able to survive for the rest of your life? How is your income coming in? All of that, right? But that doesn't tell the full story. Here's the question, and here's the thing that I really want to say to you guys as we get started with the show, because we got a lot to cover. We're going to go over what $100,000 really means all across the country. We're going to talk about people getting laid off. We're going to talk about Google. We're going to talk about these protests. Chicago, residents are complaining. We're going to even go into the news and deeper dive even further than you ever dived before on the Millionaire Morning Show and going forward. But what is the real flex? That's the question that we got to ask ourselves. Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? Is it being married? 2-parent household? Spirituality? What is it? Is it net worth? What's the real flex when we talking about it from a financial perspective? Because everything is all included. You being able to pull 10 times your weight with 2 people that are on the same page is phenomenal. You having a decent net worth? Awesome. But how do you really on a personal level, when you remove all of the layers and you remove all of the social media and you got to go to bed tomorrow, when you wake up in the morning, how do you determine that you actually made it? And this is what I've come down to. And it's a very, very, very simple thing. Whether you actually own your home. Now, I'm not saying own as far as going to mortgage from the bank. Your number one priority, I want to give y'all a goal. I want to give y'all something to work towards. I want to give you something to milestone out. When I say milestone out, that means you start at the end goal and then you reverse engineer how fast it takes for you to get there. When I pay a contractor, usually what we do is I don't give them all of the money up front. I don't give them all of the money at the end. We milestone it out. So as you continue to progress through the project, right, when you meet this criteria, when you get this inspection, when you're this far along, then I'll release this amount of money and I'll release this amount of money and I'll release this amount of money. And that's usually how we do with our contractors when it comes to web development, right? Whenever we give a contract out, we break it down based off of milestones. And we can have 5 different milestones, 4 different milestones, depending on how big the project is. And we release the monies as they continue to progress throughout the project. And we show exactly how much you have to go in order to get the next milestone, in order to get the next payment release. And that way, I'm happy. I can see the progress. You happy. I know you ain't defrauding me and stealing my money. Everybody's happy. Everybody get to the bag, right? The new flex is, and this should be your number one goal. Your number one goal is to have a home that you own that is not owned by the bank and then issued to you in a form of 360 payments. That's 30 years. That's the goal. Owning your home completely. And it removes all of the barriers. And this is how I came up with it. It removes every single barrier to what wealth should be like, And it unlocks the potential of what you could do because you're no longer bound by the same standards that the rest of society is going by. Everybody is out here paying rent. Everybody is out here paying a mortgage. Everybody is out here getting PMI and all of this stuff, right? But when you have a place to stay and you don't have to worry about losing your home or not having to make a payment over to the bank or the interest payments or ARM or rising interest rates and all of this stuff, boy, I'm telling you, and you don't know it until you felt it. The possibilities of what you can do and how you can invest and where you can start to empower yourself by having money going out to this place and that place and then doing this investment and then being able to live the life that you want to live, it's incredible. And I know people want to get into the details. Oh, this interest rate or whatever. Look, bro, listen, I'm telling you, when you have a home that you can live in, and let me separate it, because I know that there's a lot of people that always like to get into the weeds and make it more complicated than it really is. I'm not talking about an investment property. That's cool too. That's not what we're talking about right now. I'm not talking about people looking at the home that they're living in as an investment. I'm talking about your home being the place where you lay your head at night and you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to be living van life next week. Or if you get laid off, you're going to be able to figure it out. It may be a little rough, but you always going to be able to come home. And if your daughter is going through something or your son is going through something and they having a little bit of a problem in their life financially, they can always come home, right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the place that you make a residence, the place that you live. A lot of times we get so caught up in all of these terms and these talking points, and we want to make it more than what it really is. Your home is a place that you're supposed to have peace, tranquility, refuge. And then when you finally get to the point where you can start to break out and do things a little bit differently because you don't have to deploy all of your capital and resources in order to be able to make sure that you can live, it unlocks a world of possibilities. It just blows the doors off of every single possibility and exponentially multiplying your net worth. If you 100% own without payments, now you still got to pay your property taxes, right? But if you own that thing outright, and see, think about what I'm saying and let's really break it down. I'm not telling you to go and own a multi-million-dollar home because the property taxes is high on that. I'm not telling you that you got to go out here and really break out and I don't care what the square footage is of your home. That's irrelevant to me because it's a whole lot of people that got a whole lot of jumbo mortgages and there's 8 banks involved in financing that property because they wanted to get a multi-million-dollar home. I'm not talking about people making payments. I'm talking about the separation between the place that you're trying to have in order to impress other people and the place that you have to go to in order to be able to seek refuge, your home. Honestly, I value somebody that has a paid off home that they live in more than somebody that's living in a multi-million-dollar property with a whole bunch of mortgages on it. That don't impress me. I mean, that's cool. I like it. That's cute. Lifestyle, popping, getting it going. That's awesome. But you got a crib that's paid off, man, you in there, bro. You way further along than the majority of Americans, and you are living the American dream. You can put up your white picket fence. You can go get some sprinklers. You can go and build you a deck. Don't finance it, right? You have something that you can pass down to your children when you pass away. You have an asset that you can pass down to them that they'll always be able to come home to, that can stay in the family. You know how good that feel? To know that no matter what, this person will always be able to have refuge. If anything was to ever happen to you, that your wife or your kids will always be straight and taken care of because they ain't got to worry about being able to make a house payment or trying to figure out where they're going to live. It's different. I want y'all to start thinking about things more practical. I want y'all to take from these shows and from these conversations. And when you go into the Patreon, you got a different mindset because when we start doing Stock Club or, when we do our live streams or when I drop a video, I want you to go into it with a clear mind not under duress, worrying about whether or not if you get laid off, your home is going to get foreclosed on and it's going to go back to the bank after you made 260 payments. You didn't make the 360 payments. I'm telling you, it's different. You ain't got to live extravagant. You just got to live comfortably. It's about what you set as the goal. All of that financing and stuff, man, that's the bank's terms in order to try to finesse you into buying more and spending more than you really need in order to do things that don't even impress nobody but yourself. Real talk. I want y'all to have different goals. I want you to have and be more intentional and stop living life based off of everybody else's race and run your own race and get that crib and get it paid off. That's y'all goal. If you don't have that, if y'all got vision boards, if you don't have goals, if you're not milestoning this out, if you're not intentional, if every single payment that you make, you don't give a little bit extra in order to go over to the principal, we got a problem. We got a problem, all right? Okay? All right, let's get to it. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to get started with the show. I got a good one lined up for y'all today. Think and Throw podcast says, dopest morning show out. Keep cooking, AD. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Eshawn Dixon says, nobody talk about good character and money like you. We like to be, you know what I'm saying, an equal accountability smoke giver. We want to give it on the good side and the bad side. P. Shank says, Mr. Anton Daniels, the Millionaire Morning Show, I enjoy your shows and I enjoy you being here. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, P. Shank. DJ Kane in the building says, migrants seeking refuge from the same places we take vacations to is crazy. Ain't that crazy? Oh, we gonna dig into it. Golden Pisces says, most people get a mortgage, rack up equity, and then sell in 5 years. I don't know anyone that's paid a mortgage for 30 years. Well, also, you don't know anybody that actually owns their home because it's owned by the bank. Come on, y'all, listen. I don't know who you know, but there is a large segment of people that don't have a mortgage and they live in mortgage free. Listen to me. There is a large segment of people that is just laying low. They not talking about it. They not flexing about it. They don't want you to know that they live in a good life. They don't want you because then you're going to get jealous. There is a large segment of people. The first time that I ever seen somebody buy a car, cash. I ain't even going to cap. I'm going to tell you the honest to God truth. I was in a Saturn dealership. You remember Saturn? I had bought this car. It was a Saturn Aura, right? And it was in the early 2010s, I think, like that, or maybe a little bit before that. Before GM went out of business. No. It was 2004, 5? I don't know. It was something like that. But it was the first time that I had ever seen somebody, and I was in a finance office, and I was getting a car or whatever, and it was like a little black Saturn Aura. And I made a mistake, and I overseen like the little sales thing from the finance guy in his office, and it was sitting on his desk, and it was over to the side. And I was financing it, and at the time it was like, yeah, okay, I'm financing it. I got this card on or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I looked over and I seen that somebody had paid cash, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, somebody, and I asked him, this is the honest to God truth. I asked him, I said, somebody buy a car cash? He was like, yeah, that guy that had just came in here. And I was like, what? It blew my mind. I was like, people actually pay cash for cars? Like brand new cars. They walk into the dealership. They sign the paperwork. They say, I don't want a warranty. They wire the money over or they just swipe their card or whatever. And then they just get the car and then they just go. He was like, oh, yeah. He's like, Anton, he came in. He bought the car for his daughter. And then he just left out. And I was like, I don't know why, but maybe it was just because I just wasn't used to being in a position to be able to do that, even though I was making a lot of money. And I was just like, damn, it's people. It blew my mind. I was like, people actually walk into the dealership and buy brand new cars and don't even finance. And I was telling Rita, I remember this was so long ago. I was telling Rita, I was like, do you believe? I was like, they just walked in. And she was like, really? Because we had been conditioned for our whole life to think that that's what you was just supposed to do. We was conditioned our whole life to say, hey, listen, what you do is you get good credit, and then you go in and you just finance the car or whatever. And so when I started to unlock my mind and it was just so simple and it was stupid, and I was like, I was thinking I was in my early 20s or something like that. And I was just like, people do that? They just walk in, they got the money. They got the money to be able to do that? What? It was crazy. Now look where we at. Until you see it for yourself, I'm not even sure that you know that it's true. I don't even know if you know that it's possible. Unlock our minds. It seems so simple, but it's a big deal. It's a really big deal to be able to go to work and then get paid and then know all of your money, every single dollar that you have is yours. You ain't got to give it to this company. You ain't got to pay no credit card. You ain't got to pay no financing guy. You ain't got to give it over to the bank. Do you know what it's like to not have bills? Like, that's supposed to be normal. When you come home and you get your wire and you get your direct deposit, you know what it feels like to get a direct deposit and have nothing to have to pay? To just have it sitting there and you don't even think about it? That your budget is based off of whatever you want to spend on groceries, or, where you going to travel to, or how much we want to allocate to this, or, hey, listen, I want to set this money aside because we want to go ahead and buy them flights this month instead of next month. It feel different. You should feel it. You should feel it. Honestly, you should feel it. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get it popping. Again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. We got a long, good show. I'm going to try to keep it within 2 hours. Long, good show. Life to Live for Network says, cash it out. Saves you a headache. Facts. Facts. That's a fact. Shout out to you, big dog. I appreciate you. Thank you for holding me down. All right, y'all. Y'all ready to get into it? Let's do it. Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate each and every entire segment over to it. I'm going to read those super chats shortly. But we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop of what's going on out in these streets, man. First and foremost, let's get to the ugly news first. 15 men in Texas arrested for soliciting minors. Somebody call Chris Hansen. Check it out.
A Fort Worth pastor is among the 15 men arrested in a recent child predator sting in Collin County. The sting was called Operation Home Alone. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager spoke with the Collin County Sheriff about the operation and the suspects who were arrested. Peyton.
Heather, these 15 men who were arrested live all over North Texas, but investigators tell me they traveled to Collin County to meet up with who they thought were minors. It turns out they were undercover investigators.
These 15 mugshots represent the 15 men.
Look like we got a whole diversity, equity, and inclusion thing going on right here. I see white, I see old, I see young, I see Asian. Is that a black man over there? Yep. Gotta be black men. Oh, I see 3 black men. At least 2. One of them is a possible. I see brown, white, glasses, no glasses, crazies, possible killers, skinny, fat. This is a whole diversity, equity, and inclusion thing right here, y'all. Check it out. Let's look at them. Look at their names. Gregory Joseph Lee. Got to be a Lee in there. Shout out to Lee. Lee Morning. Benjamin. Gerald. Shout out to Gerald. Kenneth. Look at Kenneth. Kenneth, no, his parents is going to be disappointed when they find out that he got these charges. Brent. It's a Jason Myers. Fits the profile. Come on, y'all. We're going to go ahead and do our FBI profiling right now. Oscar Martinez. Yeah, he been doing this for a long time. He just got caught. Oscar been doing this for a long time. He just got caught. Vishal. Yeah. I know of Vishal. I need to go ahead and check on him and see if he one of these people. Michael Salyer, Michael Shatlin. There's a lot of Michaels up in here. We got Michael, and Michael. All right, that sounds like a law firm. Asais, Sean Matthew. Matthew, what you doing, Matthew McGee? Matthew McGee was voted most likely to be successful from his class, and now he over here in Fort Worth, Texas, getting arrested. And de los Santos, is this dude even from here? Is this a name that he got from GTA? De los Santos Guerrero? Probably met one of these dudes inside of the grocery store.
Recently arrested in a sting operation targeting child predators online, according to an announcement by the Collin County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday. Operation Home Alone was a 3-day undercover operation conducted by Collin County deputies, Plano Police, Dallas Police, and Texas DPS. Investigators within the Child Exploitation Unit went undercover online. Collin County Sheriff Jim Skinner says the men traveled to Collin County to meet up at undisclosed locations to have sex with minors. Instead, they were arrested.
And then there were a number of days in which our ghost unit had to track down some of these individuals in order to capture them. Matter of fact, one individual tried to evade arrest and crashed his car into a vehicle occupied by a deputy U.S. Marshal. And so, you know, these are dangerous people.
On the right of your screen, 5 men were charged with soliciting a prostitute under the age of 18. On the left, 10 men were charged with online solicitation of a minor sexual conduct.
Sound like the same thing to me.
This includes Reverend Jason Myers.
Reverend Jason Myers preaching the word of God, and then right after that, going to go and get him some sex. Haven't y'all learned from Chris Hansen from MSNBC? Hi, my name is Chris Hansen. Hey, I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead and just put your hands right there. Don't get up. I used to love watching Chris Hansen. I don't know why they canceled that show. I remember it was like a judge that got caught up. To Catch a Predator, and Chris Hansen used to come out and they'd be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know. I wasn't looking. I was just going to come in and talk. I'm so nervous. I knew it. I should have just came." And then Chris Hansen go out ahead and he pull out the sheet, the printed out sheet of everything that they said. So you said that you wanted to bust her open. Did you know that she was only supposed to be 12 years old? I didn't mean I wanted to bust her open. I mean, I wanted to figure it out. I just got caught up in the moment. So, she, our decoy clearly told you that they were 12 years old. And right after that, you said, "Oh, I like them young." Good old Jason Myers
Of Trinity Episcopal Church in Fort Worth. The church sent out a letter over the weekend stating the associate rector was suspended after he was arrested on Thursday. Trinity Episcopal also says it does not have any reason to believe that anyone in the congregation or school was harmed, but went on to ask anyone with information to reach out to the church and law enforcement. According to online records, Myers bonded out and is bound to an ankle monitor.
This should serve as a reminder to parents the dangers of online communications. Cell phones, gaming devices, and computers, that's the hunting ground.
Sheriff Skinner says the operation is ongoing.
Ain't nothing like a good sheriff with a cowboy hat on, just like the olden days. A good old beer belly, that means that he getting fed at home. He got a good wife to make sure that he keep him going. And a good mustache. That's a sign of a good sheriff. That's a sign of a good sheriff, ladies and gentlemen.
The sheriff assures investigators are constantly looking online for people who prey on children.
Please understand and know what your children are doing with these electronic devices. It's extraordinarily dangerous.
You got to be a sick person, and I've never understood the desire for it. I never could get it. It never made sense to me. I just couldn't understand for the life of me why dudes would risk every single thing that they got to go out there and try to get with an underage person that's somebody else's daughter or son. Yeah, they go for the sons too. Wild, bro. Now they gotta go register, put their names on a list in every single county or community that they go in. Next thing you know, somebody gonna be walking past your house looking all weird because they know that you gotta register and they know that you gotta be there. You gotta register for the sex offenders list. And that's that. That's unfortunate. It's very much unfortunate. But gotta give it to you straight. In addition to that, I kind of covered this yesterday on the Anton Daniels channel. But Jontay Porter, NBA player, was banned for life for betting on himself and giving inside information and also throwing games. Check it out.
For the first time, not ever, but in decades, a basketball player has been thrown out of the NBA for gambling. That's the decision of Commissioner Adam Silver, who banned Toronto Raptors backup Jontay Porter for life after he illegally bet on games and offered confidential insider information to other bettors. Our national correspondent, Jerika Duncan, has more on this historic decision.
Porter, the open three.
I knew it was something about this guy before we get into this story. I knew it was something about this guy because you know what? I was actually, I think, jawing back and forth with him when I was at the game for the Pistons last year. And I was looking, I said, man, there's something wrong with you. I don't know if it's just my spirit. I don't know if the Lord is tapping me on the shoulder and saying, yeah, man, Jontay Porter, he full of the devil over there. But I knew it was something wrong with him when I seen him. And I was like, because you got to know that Windsor is literally, or Canada is literally across the street from us. And so a lot of times when Toronto come over to the Palace, or not the Palace, it used to be called the Palace. When they come over to Little Caesars Arena and they come to play the Pistons, it's almost just as much flooded with people from Canada because they look at Toronto Raptors as their team because they only got one team to represent all of Canada. And so it'll be flooded. And so it's always a good time to go back and forth with the players because they feel like they got a lot of support. And I was looking at him, I said, yeah, something wrong with you. I can't put my finger on it. I said, but I'm going to see you. We're going to revisit this. I'm telling you. Real talk.
The allegations against Jontay Porter were blatant. An NBA investigation found Porter gave a better information about his own health status prior to a Toronto's game on March 20th. A bettor placed $80,000 on Porter not hitting certain in-game milestones. Porter left the game after just 3 minutes, claiming he felt ill. The bet was frozen because of the unusual activity.
And that was see, they didn't put $2,000 on it. They put $80,000. Listen. Who puts $80,000 on Jontay Porter not being able to make his or not getting on the under on Jontay Porter? Who? It wasn't LeBron James, wasn't Anthony Davis, wasn't Giannis, wasn't Luka, wasn't Kyrie Irving, wasn't none of them. They said, hey, listen, we gonna put $80,000 on Jontay Porter. $80,000 on Jontay Porter to take the under. That's an immediate red flag. Immediate red flag. Boy, if you don't get your dummy. Now he banned for life.
Claiming he felt ill. The bet was frozen because of the unusual activity. Porter was also found to have placed 13 bets on NBA games, including bets on his own team to lose, although he didn't play in those games. The league's collective bargaining agreement forbids any player who directly or indirectly wagers money or anything of value on any game or event. Yesterday, Commissioner Adam Silver took the rare step of banning Porter from the league for life, writing, "There is nothing more important than protecting the integrity of NBA competition for our fans, our teams, and everyone associated with our sport."
Yo, DraftKings, y'all got the most ways to bet on NBA players.
The NBA even has official sports betting partners with ads on nearly every broadcast.
You know, the thing about this is that, again, it's dumb. It's very, very dumb. But the league, although they're making money, they got to protect the integrity of the sport, because if people don't believe that it's real and that anybody could win, it erodes the trust in the sport, and then it completely removes the reason for you to actually root for it or go for it. And so the NBA is going to protect their bag. Now, he just so happened to be the dummy that showed up because he's already a fringe player. He's made over $2.7 million. And so now we get banned for life. Now, here's the other caveat to it. It's a couple different things that we want to mine out from this. Number one, he got a brother in the NBA too. Shout out to Michael Porter Jr. $100 millionaire brother in the league too, making his brother look bad. That's number one. Number two, boy, don't you know that they're going to make an example out of you? Because they can't do it to like a LeBron James or a Luka Doncic or something like that. If they're going to make an example on somebody in order to protect the integrity and the face of the league, they're going to have to come down hard on a person like you. And you just so happen to be the dummy to mess up your entire career, and now you're going to be known as the one that was cheating on NBA games betting on yourself. Who does that? And they said that he only made like $20-something thousand from it. Jesus Christ. You made $20-something thousand and got kicked out of the league for life. Fool. A fool. Anyways, last but not least on Quick Hits, Canada. The police arrest the suspects in what is quite possibly the largest gold heist in Canada's history. Check it out.
It's being called the biggest gold heist in Canadian history. Authorities there and in the U.S. said Wednesday 6 people were arrested and 3 more are still being sought after $16 million worth of gold and currency were stolen from cargo arriving from overseas.
Our investigation involves a stolen quantity of gold and foreign currency that were ordered from a refinery in Zurich, Switzerland. The gold and currency were transported in the hull of an Air Canada flight in an approved airline container destined for Toronto. This flight arrived at Toronto's Pearson International Airport on April 17th, 2023 at 3:56 p.m. Shortly after, the gold and currency were offloaded from the aircraft and brought into Air Canada cargo facility. At 6:32 p.m., the suspect arrived at Air Canada cargo driving a 5-ton truck. The suspect reversed his vehicle to the loading dock and exited the truck. The suspect was carrying a fraudulent airway bill as he approached the warehouse.
Regional police in Ontario named 9 suspects and say they face 19 charges. At least 2 were Air Canada employees. 5 suspects were arrested in the country and released on bail, while 1 suspect was arrested in Pennsylvania with firearms and remains in U.S. custody. Police have issued Canada-wide warrants for the other 3. Air Canada suspended 1 employee charged in the theft, while another had already left the airline before the charges were announced.
An inside job.
The authorities found more than 2 pounds of gold and approximately $315,000 worth of Canadian currency. They also found more than 60 firearms believed to have been bought with the stolen money. Following the heist, a Miami-based transport and security services provider Brinks sued Air Canada in October, alleging negligence and carelessness. Brinks had been hired by Swiss bank Raiffeisen Schweiz and precious metals refining company Valcambi to move the valuables from Zurich to Toronto.
So, looks like they got most of the people. 3 more is on the way. Don't nobody know where all of the money is. But again, they saying that this is the largest heist of gold in Canada's history. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your Quick Hits. All right, let me read a few more super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get it down. Brock says, Ton, did you pay cash for the Bentley that you had? No, not at that time. No, sir. Almost everything that I had at that time was financed. That's why it was so easy for me to go ahead and get everything back to the bank and get it repossessed. You know what I'm saying? No. That was before I really started spending money. You know what I'm saying? That was a reality check. Common Man 80 says, I own my home and land. I'm 62 years old. Now that I'm retired, all I do is sit home all day and drink beer and have Walmart deliver my groceries. That took work. Yep. Sound like you living a life. Big dog. Black Ink says, you really can't trust anyone in these streets, man. That's a fact. Black Ink also says, I don't understand how you can look in the mirror knowing that she's under 18 and get turned on. Some people are sick in the head. Man, it's crazy. Jeremy H says, I need to see that Netflix show Money Heist. Shout out to Jeremy H. All right, y'all ready to get started with the show? Y'all ready to get really popping? All right, let's get to it. First and foremost, this is a story that was going viral. And so I decided that it was important for us to go ahead and share it with the rest of the congregation. It was a woman that basically lost her life over a fraud. It's a little bit more detailed than that. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Check this out, y'all.
Here behind me is where a scam call turned deadly, and I'm going to step out of the way here so you can get a look here. The man who lives here is accused of shooting and killing an Uber driver. He now faces a murder charge and potential other charges. According to reports, authorities say William Brock had been receiving multiple threatening scam calls the morning of March 25th. The calls were concerning an incarcerated relative, and Brock was told to meet at the courthouse to pay a ransom of $12,000 in bail money, or they would kill him and his relative. Around the same time of the call, Lolitha Hall received directions from the same person or an accomplice, instructing her to go to Brock's home to pick up a package for delivery. Dashcam video from Hall's car shows her arrive to Brock's home to pick up that package. According to reports from the Clark County Sheriff's Office, Brock allegedly had a gun. This video appears to confirm that. The incident report says Brock allegedly took Hall's phone and wouldn't let her leave, and when she tried to go, authorities say Brock then shot Hall. They started fighting, and he shot her 2 more times. Authorities received a call from Brock saying he had shot someone on his property because they were trying to rob him. When units arrived, they found Hall with multiple gunshot wounds, and Brock was bleeding from his head. Hall was flown to Kettering Hospital in Dayton, where she died. Reports say while officials were on scene, Brock's landline phone kept ringing, and when one officer picked it up, the man on the other line said he was an officer. And the real officer explained what happened and asked the caller to meet. And he agreed, but never showed up. We reached out to Uber, and they responded with this statement saying in part, quote, "There is no other way to describe this incident than a horrific tragedy. Our hearts continue to be with Lolitha's loved ones as they grieve her sudden loss. We have been in contact with law enforcement and remain committed to supporting their investigation." End quote. Uber also went on to say the account of the individual who ordered the Uber trip has been banned. The sheriff's office is also reminding residents to be extra cautious and that no law enforcement agency or court will call you and demand for bail money over the phone. That goes for any other court functions as well. Reporting in Springfield, Grace Hewitt, 2 News.
Now, imagine your grandmother. Let me summarize this back for y'all for the C students that's in the building like myself. Imagine your grandmother is out here. I'm going to break it down for you, Brittany. Imagine your grandmother. Now, the grandmother get an Uber request. Lolitha. Lolitha ain't never been a threat to nobody. I don't know nobody named Lolitha that never did anything to anybody in their life. Not Lolitha. Lolitha, Margaret, Mabel, Anime, all of them type of names. Them people ain't did nothing but had their kids and they just trying to make it to the next day and get a couple extra dollars to be able to make sure that they can get their medicine. They want to get their medicine. And listen, there ain't a Lolitha on the face of this earth that you can say is a bad person. I'd have known a Lolitha before, and it was one of the sweetest people that I'd have never seen in my entire life. But it's rough out here for these women, right? Mildred, yep, Mildred. Every Mildred that I know is is a good person. All right? Good people. Good. Shout out to Miss Lolita Gore. I got a Lolita right now in the chat, and I rock with her. Facts. Facts. All right? Now, and Phyllis. Shout out to Phi Brown. Phyllis. And she just trying to make it, right? Because it's hard out here, and inflation is up, and Biden is not doing what he's supposed to do, right? Gertrude, Hadame, right? Barbara, Elnor, Anime, Marjorie, Belma, Wilhelmina, facts. Glenda Jean, Dolores, dog. I knew a Dolores that was so good of a person, one of the sweetest women that I've ever met in my entire life. Shout out to Dolores. Shout out all of the Doloreses out there. Eloise, Bertha, all of them good people. Thelma, facts. Facts. Maybelline, Myrtle, Beatrice, Florence, all of those people. Every last one of those names. Lily, yeah. Every last one of those names are good people. That's a fact. Emma Jean, Anna Marie, Thea, May Etta, Hattie. I hate this chat. So Edna, Louise Jean. I know Esther, one of the sweetest women I know. I know Esther. Esther is one of the sweetest people. Let me call Esther. One of the sweetest women that I know is named Esther. I don't know if she's there right now. My grandma's name is Esther too. But I know another Esther on top of that. Yeah. Clementine.
Hello.
Hey, Esther, what you doing?
I'm at work.
Oh, you at work? Oh, I'm on a live stream.
Okay. What's going on?
I was just telling them, I said, I don't know no Esthers. I know 2 Esthers in my entire life, and both of them is the sweetest women that I've ever met in my life.
Oh, that's sweet. Hold on. Let me see if I can get away. Hold on. Okay. What you trying to say? You think I'm sweet? That's nice.
Yeah, you know you sweet.
Well, that's sweet, babe.
You know I love you, girl.
I know you love me. How was your birthday?
It was good. You got a birthday coming up yourself.
No.
What you doing for your birthday?
I'm about to go on a cruise.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
Yeah. You know I'm getting out of here, boy.
All right. Tell Lamar I said what up.
I'm going to tell him.
All right, let me get back to the show.
Okay, baby. I love you.
All right, love you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Look how sweet that girl is. You can't tell me that girl would hurt a fly. That girl wouldn't hurt a fly. That's my homegirl, Esther. Shout out to Esther. Girl wouldn't hurt a fly. Been married since she was 18. This is my girl, Esther. We the same age. We literally are the same age. Do you know she been married longer than me? I said, I don't know nobody that's my age that been married longer than me. I got married at 22. Esther got married at 18. Still married today. You can't find an Esther that ain't married. Now, let me get back to this story really quickly. You know, the thing about this story that's really, really interesting is both of them got finessed. Both of them got finessed. It's a fact. Both of them got finessed. This is what really happened. It's a lot of fraud, and a lot of it is perpetuated against people that don't know any better. It's older people, right? So they made a fake Uber account, but then at the same time, they also was doing a fraud where they was basically finessing an older man, and they said, hey, listen, if you don't get this money over to us within 24 hours, we killing everybody, and we need $12,000. We need $12,000. And so he was cooperating. And they said, we're going to send somebody over there to pick it up. And so they then requested an Uber with the package delivery. And then Lolita went over there to go and she didn't know what she was getting. She was just going to get a package because she was a gig worker. She was doing her job. She showed up, hip hurting, limping, wouldn't hurt a fly. She went over there to go and get the package. And then Big Dog over here came out with the pistol. He said, oh, no, I knew you scammers was trying to get me. Stay right there. I'm taking your phone. Right? So they both was fooled and they both was confused. He was a victim. Yes, Golden Pisces. She was a victim. And the scammers is the one that's on the back end like, I wonder if Lolita is going to get that package over there and make sure that she don't get arrested. They rather send her, right? Because you don't even know who they are. They behind some kind of computer, firewall, all of that stuff to prevent themselves from getting caught up. So she goes over there. He's going to be the good Samaritan. He's going to stand up. He gets overzealous because he don't realize that she not even a scammer. He should have known. Look at Lolita. Look at Lolita. Ain't had a perm at no point in her life. She is as natural as can be. She just trying to make it every single day. He go out there, get overzealous. Next thing you know, he kills somebody. Now he got to go to jail for the rest of whatever life he got left. Yep. And now everybody going to get sued. Uber probably going to get sued. His estate probably going to get sued. Whatever it is that he had that was reserved for whoever his kids were or whatever, that got to go. Family tragedy. Lolita is gone. And you know who the only people that's free is the people that set this whole thing up in the first place. Now, he still has to be held accountable. That's unfortunate because he shouldn't be killing Lolita. There's no reason. She over there trying to get away talking about help. You don't take that lady's life. You got to be held accountable for that. You have to be held accountable for that. But the fact of the matter is they both got finessed. They both were victims. And now somebody got to be prosecuted as a result of it. And that's the unfortunate part. There are no winners in this thing. There are 0 winners in this whole thing. So let's deep dive into it a little bit more before we get to the next story.
Turn now to the tragic story. This one out of Ohio. Deadly encounter between 2 people who did not know each other and were both victims of phone scammers. Victim 1, 81-year-old William Brock, received threatening calls last month saying his family was in danger and demanding money. And then the scammers also called an Uber driver, Lolita Hall, to pick up a package from Brock's home. Brock then confronted her with a gun, believing that she was connected to the threats he'd been receiving, and now he is charged with Hall's murder. Lilia Luciano has the story, and we have to warn you, the video is disturbing.
Lolita Hall screamed for help as William Brock confronted her with a gun.
Yeah, I know what you're after.
But as the Uber driver tried to flee, police say the 81-year-old resident shot her multiple times. And then he called 911.
Well, I shot her in the leg first time, and I shot her in the shoulder.
Why did you do that?
Because I was threatened that she was going to come and kill me.
The county sheriff's office says Brock was the subject of a scam call concerning an incarcerated relative, which turned to threats and a demand for money. Police say Hall, the driver, was also contacted either by the same scammer or an accomplice to pick up a package from Brock's residence through the Uber app.
The guy on the phone center here.
Okay.
That dude is so senile, he don't know what the heck is going on.
So the male on the phone was trying to get money from you, and she was knocking on the door at the same time?
Yeah, and he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around.
Hall, who was 61, died from her injuries in the hospital. Police say she made no threats or assaults towards Brock before the shooting, other than to ask about the package she was sent to retrieve. They also say Brock took her cell phone and refused to let her leave. Last week, Brock was charged with felony murder, and now he could face 15 years to life behind bars, plus a $15,000 fine. He has pleaded not guilty.
What does the prosecution need to prove in this case?
That Brock knew he was using deadly force, and what the prosecution is going to say is there is just no reason to shoot 3 times when somebody is trying to leave your property.
That's a fact. He going to jail.
If somebody is trying to flee, almost by definition, they are no longer posing a threat.
He going to prison.
Uber says it has banned the account of the person who ordered Hall's trip and has been in touch with both her family and Clark County law enforcement. It's hard to know if the alleged scammers will be held liable for Hall's death. Is something that I asked Jessica Levinson. She says it's not clear that they could have predicted that the ruse would lead to this horribly deadly, tragic outcome.
That video.
So yeah, man, it's a very, very unfortunate situation. I think that he's going to jail for the rest of his life, and it's unfortunate because They all got finesse, and they all was getting defrauded, and the scammers are still out there, and they probably hanging out in Atlanta. So prayers up for the family. Shout out to everybody that's holding me down. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Let me continue on with the show. Chris Monroe, STL, said, this is a sad case. Even having to drive Uber at that age is a tragedy as well. This is why I'm all in on real estate investing so I can retire. That's a fact. That's a fact, though. Real talk. Zach said, Miss Pearl. Shout out to Miss Pearl out there. Ken J says, the elderly don't stand a chance against the evil of today. Wouldn't be surprised if the life expectancy in America is starting to drop. I wouldn't doubt it either. Thank you, everybody, for contributing into the platform. Let's continue on with the show. Chicago. It's Chicago, yeah? Chicago. I heard that the residents is pissed off at Mayor Brandon Johnson. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so that y'all pissed off at Mayor Brandon Johnson, not the Mayor Mohawk. No. But before we get into it, before we tell you why the people are so distraught at Mayor Brandon Johnson and that every single week they come forth and they hold him accountable and they tell them what it is that they think, and it's getting worse. The complaints is getting worse. Let me bring y'all up to speed on what Chicago is going through and why it's so important for people to advocate for them to put money inside of their neighborhoods and into the business community instead of into the migrant crisis. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. We about to ramp up, y'all.
2 young children, 1 and 7 years old, remain hospitalized here in the intensive care unit at Comer Children's Hospital. They are among 11 victims who were at a family gathering when gunfire erupted Saturday night. The pictures are...
Now remember, this is an update on a story that we already did about that large gathering where it was a whole shootout on the street and a bunch of kids got hit. 10 people at least got hit. One of them fatally passed away. But check it out. They got new surveillance video of what was going on.
Killing. 3 people casually walked to the corner of 52nd and Damon. They are carrying guns. In moments, they all open fire down the street.
Idiots.
They fire nearly 20 shots, all apparently in the direction of a family gathering next to a house several hundred feet down the street. One shot shatters the window of a car parked on the street. Another hits a house. Bullets also strike 11 people at the party, including 9-year-old Ariana Molina, who later died. One of the final gunshots hits a street light, darkening the area. 5 minutes later, an ambulance arrives at the scene. Several more emergency vehicles would arrive shortly afterward. It has been a heartbreaking time for relatives who were having a family celebration when the gunfire broke out. The video suggests the shooters were not in a vehicle, but simply walked up. Among the other victims, 1-year-old Aaron and 7-year-old Isaiah Vigil Mendez were shot and critically injured.
I didn't know if they were going to survive or they were going to be gone forever. That was the worst time of my life.
Also among the injured, 36-year-old Ishmael Benitez, who remains hospitalized in critical condition. In front of the house where the family gathered Saturday, they continue to add to the huge memorial with balloons, flowers, and pictures, even as several of the victims continue to recover in hospitals. Monica Mendez is hoping police find the 3 people seen in this video very soon.
They need to be where they deserve to be, in prison for the rest of their lives, for what they did to Ariana and what they did to my kids, what they did to everybody else that got wounded.
Chicago police say they're continuing their investigation. So far, no one is in custody. They're encouraging any witnesses or anyone with information to come forward.
So that's an update on what was going on with that situation, but that's not the only thing that's been happening in Chicago. As a matter of fact, last night, 3 people was injured and 1 critically in the shooting on Chicago's South Side, which is completely separate from what you just witnessed. Check it out.
Now to a breaking news update. We're learning more this morning about a shooting last night that sent 3 men to the hospital. It happened in the Inglewood neighborhood.
CBS 2's Mugo Odigwe is live at Mount Sinai Hospital, where one of the victims is still being treated. Good morning, Mugo.
Yeah, good morning.
Poor Mugo. They just working Mugo. Mugo heard me talking. Y'all, listen. Now, Mugo, I think that Mugo is beautiful. I think that, but Mugo was out there working, and Mugo was working so hard. One of the things that we said is that her neck was stressed. Now Mugo is up here wearing neck straps so that we don't identify. Come on, Mugo, don't do that. Remember when I was telling y'all how stressed Mugo's neck was? Now Mugo is now here wearing neck straps. Mugo, come on. Come on, Mugo. Why you do that? You think we don't notice the subtleties? You think we don't notice the subtle things that y'all do in order to make the adjustment from the things that we identify? Ain't nothing wrong with your neck, Mugo. You doing your thing, baby. Take that neck strap off. Remember when we was bringing up the neck and we was saying that her neck is stressed because they keep on having her out here in these streets? Now she got a neck cover. Next thing you know, she going to be wearing a scarf. Okay, we get it. I know what's going on over there. I pay attention. Shout out to my baby Mugo. We love you, girl.
Morning, Dana and Ryan. So Chicago police say a 51-year-old man who was shot in the head was rushed here to Mount Sinai Hospital at last check in critical condition. And we know 2 other men are also in the hospital and they were injured in this shooting. And here is what else we've learned. The shooting happened around 9:30 last night near 66 in Halstead. We saw investigators out at this parking lot afterwards looking for evidence. They tell us the 3 men who were shot were standing outside when someone in a white van drove by and fired shots at them. 2 of the victims were taken to University of Chicago Hospital. One of them, a 65-year-old man, was hit in the ankle and arm. He is in good condition. Another man who's 61 years old was hit in the shoulder and is in fair condition. But again, a 3rd man was hit in the head, is in critical condition here at Mount Sinai.
See how strong that neck is when she starts talking? She gonna cover it up in the middle part.
Hospital. Chicago police say that shooter in the white van drove away. They're still searching for them. No one has been arrested in this shooting.
We love you, Mugo. We love you, baby girl. Shout out to Mugo. Let me give a round of applause for Mugo. Shout out to her. Chicago. More shootings. But listen. Here's the biggest part of this whole conversation. The reason why I preface showing you the things that I'm showing you is because I want you to see what the citizens and the residents are dealing with on a regular basis. What they dealing with on a regular basis. And why they feel compelled to come into these meetings and have this conversation and let Mayor Johnson know what's going on. Let's find out what they had to say.
Now, to align yourself with somebody who's obviously a one-term mayor, if he even makes it that far, you better be worrying about your job. You better be worrying about your longevity, because we're going to vote and we're going to get you out because you ain't doing right by us.
Now, we don't believe you. You need more people. I mean, it sounds good. It sounds good. It sounds good. They said you ain't going to have longevity, but first and foremost, let's be very, very clear. Mayor Adams, oh, I'm sorry, not Mayor Adams, that's New York. Mayor Johnson hasn't even done a whole year yet. That means the people of Chi-Town got at least 3 more years, at least 3 and some change, 3 and a possible like spades, 3 and a possible that y'all gonna be dealing with this. We not even a whole 1 year into Mayor Brandon Johnson's tenure. Ain't that's crazy. That is insane, right? Y'all not even a whole year into y'all one-term mayor. I don't believe that y'all gonna vote him out anyway, so it don't even make no difference. By the time he leave office, he gonna been then made at least $1 million just in his regular salary. At over 250 bands a year, by the time that he leaves office, he'll been then made at least $1 million if he don't win another election. Take that.
What time it is.
Chicagoans furious and sounding off on Mayor Johnson's plan to tack on another $70 million to migrant funding. Frustration building to the point that some voters are now working to get him out of office, as you heard that constituent there saying. Garrett Tenney live in Chicago with the story. Hi, Garrett.
I'm going to read that Cash App shortly, big dog.
Yeah, Dana, good morning to you. This migrant issue has become an Achilles heel for Mayor Brandon Johnson, so much so that there are now multiple efforts underway to vote out Democrats and the mayor. We saw that yesterday at the city council meeting where several groups of black voters showed up wearing red shirts with the words "No more blue, go red, and turn Chicago red."
Ooh, let me get a round of applause for my people over there in Chicago. The people over in Chi-Town, they said, listen, no, y'all waking up. Hey, the people over there in Chicago was watching the Millionaire Morning Show. They waking the F up. They waking up. They wearing red shirts. They said, no more blue, turn Chicago red. Now, that don't mean blood in the streets. That mean the way that they vote. Maybe there is hope for Chicago. What? Wait, in all of the places that I expected to see this, the second to last place, now the first place that I never expect to see it is over in California. Let's be clear. But I never in my life thought that I'd ever see anybody over in Chicago and a group of people, especially black people, saying turn blue into red. I can't believe it. Not in my lifetime. Not in my lifetime that I ever thought that y'all would ever get off the Democrat plantation. No way. Y'all mean they ain't got Eric Daniels over there talking to y'all about why y'all should stay blue? Shout out to my dog Eric Daniels. I just had to throw that out there real quick. I can't believe it.
Many of these folks are lifelong Democrats who are now actively working to shake up deep blue Chicago, specifically because of how the mayor and the governor have handled the migrant crisis, doling out more than $1 billion so far for that. And here they are warning the mayor and city council about transferring another $70 million from the city's rainy day fund to take care of the migrants.
We need that money in my neighborhood.
We need
that on my block.
They got
so
the Make
our
America Great hat on. Eric, what is going on? Eric, don't tell me you ain't blue. I know that you love those liberal talking points, Eric. Eric, what is going on? They got the Make America Great Again hat on. Oh my God. Now you know they're going to try to get at Trump. You know that they're going to come after Trump after this. Jesus.
Our tax money for our people. We need it.
You vote for the money for these immigrants today, and we coming for them seats. You can believe that.
The police are fighting with them in the shelters that you guys are funding. You guys think it's a great idea, but yet your police officers are getting attacked. Your public's getting attacked.
Currently, state law does not allow voters to recall Chicago's mayor, but after seeing how Mayor Johnson's first year has gone with the migrants and crime, a new group wants to change that by getting a referendum on the ballot this November that would pave the way to voting Johnson out.
We're not taking care of Chicago citizens first, and that's what it's all about. The fact of the matter is that we've never had this opportunity to recall before. And it's very apparent, based on the mayor's abilities right now, or lack of accountability, that this needs to be addressed.
Yeah, Mayor Johnson is dismissing this recall effort as a right-wing effort from folks living out in the suburbs. But Dan laughed at that, saying he's lived in Chicago for 33 years. He is an independent. And in the 24 hours since news came out about this effort, he said there's been an outpouring support from folks of all backgrounds looking to sign on. Dana?
Jesus, I can't believe it. Nowhere in the world you would have ever convinced me that they was out here trying to turn Chicago red. Nowhere in the world you would ever convince me that they was out here trying to turn Chicago red. It was one guy on here that I seen, and I wasn't sure if he was trolling, because I did watch this video. I wasn't sure if he was trolling or if he was serious. But it was one white guy on here that was talking about why they should continue to fund the migrant crisis over in Chicago. But I'll get to that shortly. Let me see what this guy talking about.
Yes, the homeless management information systems. So my number would have been 355061. That would have been issued July 15th, 2021. We financed that endeavor, right? The HMI.
Even the people, even that's behind me.
CV 145.
We also need to start thinking about long-term solutions to fund affordable housing and economic development that will benefit all Chicagoans. So on Friday, this council will have that opportunity, and I urge you to vote yes to borrow $1.25 million over the next 5 years and to make economic security a reality for more of our neighbors. In addition, I would like to urge council to vote against the order that calls for alders to be able to choose whether to remove ShotSpotter technology on a ward-by-ward basis, and also calls for any decisions related to violence prevention funding to be brought to the Public Safety Committee and to a full City Council vote. We reject the intention and the outcomes of this order and support Mayor Brandon Johnson's decision to cancel the contract with ShotSpotter citywide. Chicago has long been a welcoming city, and we are committed to ensuring that it remains that way. We are facing a challenging moment, but it's nothing we haven't faced before. Thank you.
Let me see something. I think this is the guy right here that had whatever it is that he had to say. He was in support of the migrants.
Hello, and thank you for taking my public comment. My name is Kirby Callan, and I am an organizer in the 32nd Ward, where I focus on expanding public access to mental health care, housing, and public safety. I'd like to start my comment by addressing the Godzilla in the room, and by that, I of course mean affordable housing. The Finance Committee endorsed the proposal for $1.25 billion for affordable housing over the next 5 years. So much of life as a Chicagoan these days is defined by the transient nature of constantly moving every year or two because you can no longer live in the community you want to place roots. And so we need to build affordable housing. Let's borrow money, let's cut some tape and build more affordable housing units across this city with speed and safety.
That's so dumb. That is so dumb. I think that is the dumbest thing that you can possibly do, is to borrow more money to build affordable housing that doesn't add to the tax base. That is so stupid. That is the dumbest idea that I've ever heard in my entire life. Anyways, let's continue.
I also want to address the substitute order to change the future of ShotSpotter to a ward-by-ward basis. We cannot do this. We need to cancel the ShotSpotter contract and discontinue its use citywide. An aldermanic discretion of ShotSpotter would lead to a patchwork across the city of profiling, oppression, and aggression. If we are truly to believe that policing can fight crime, we don't need to be expending their resources on something that leads to 85% of the time to incidents where there's no evidence of a gun crime, 90% of the time with no evidence of a crime at all. ShotSpotter wastes our resources and puts those that are most vulnerable at risk of being profiled and damaged by our police. And I also want to spend time speaking on the migrant funding. This is a crisis across our city, but it is not because of the immigrants, it is because of our lack of allocation of resources. This migrant crisis is a resource crisis, and we need vast resources to protect our new community members. 70 million. Hey, you can fight it as much as you want, but it's true. These are our neighbors. These are now a part of our communities. Immigrants are a basis for our future as a city. Ever since the beginning to now, immigrants are the lifeblood of this city, and we need to support them. Not just in the 70 millimeter, but to address the future of this city. We need investments in affordable housing, public access to mental health care, so that these people are protected and ensure that they can live in Chicago in a community that is vibrant, depending not only on them, but the connections within the community. $70 million is a great way to start, but it's not enough. It's possible for us to not spend enough on migrant funding. It is not possible for us to spend it's not possible for us to spend too much. We're spending too little. Let's expand the money for migrants. They need our support. They're not going anywhere. We are a welcoming city. We're going to stay that way. So let's make sure they are protected. Thank you. That's my public comments. Whoa. Thank you.
And that's one of the reasons why I know that you ain't got to worry about Democrats or anybody that is doing a thing that's not in the best interest of the people that's already here are ever going to leave office. Because people like that, let me tell you about these people. People like him are people that actually participate and vote. See, the one thing that I will say about these type of people is they mobilize, they participate, they make sure that they get their mail-in ballots out, and they bring all of their friends to the poll, and they bring their whole family, and they have whole speeches and conversations and uncomfortable conversations inside of their living rooms, and then they make sure that they get out there and vote. I'm telling you, they make sure that they get out there and they vote. They participate in the voting process. Now, we will sit back and we'll say, oh, no, we don't like it and all of this stuff. And then you'll have a 3% voter turnout rate, and the only people that's the 3% that actually get out and vote is the ones that you disagree with that then get them back in office. So you could sit here and you could protest, but the thing that I hear all the time, every single day, no matter what video that I drop, no matter what clip that I have, no matter how much I add timestamps to these videos, I hear people that complain the most. People that complain the most, what do? They say, man, I don't even know what. Man, I'm telling you, I'm going to gather a whole bunch of comments and I'm going to just break them down for y'all. They say, man, I don't even know why y'all voting. You know voting don't do nothing. The tools that they have, the things that your civil rights leaders died for before you, is the very thing that they don't participate in. And not only do they not vote, but the ones that do vote don't even educate themselves as to what they're voting for. I hear it every day. Man, I'm not participating. It's rigged. Every single day, I read a comment or two at the very least, or I'll get somebody that sends me an email and saying, Anton, you stupid for telling people to even participate in the voting process in the first place. Every day. And sometimes I think it's just all for naught. And then y'all sit there and advocate for us to come and help y'all inside of y'all cities, inside of y'all zones and y'all areas, and then y'all don't even participate in y'all own success. Zach is in the building, says if Bill Cosby didn't go to jail at his age, so can this guy. I think he's going to be held accountable. They already charging him, so apparently he's being held accountable. Latrell M says, I bet you the scammers were illegal immigrants or illegal migrants. You're probably right. King Stannis says, I believe it when I see it. Also says, they all cap like them hats. DeFrank says, if Trump was smart, he'd hold a rally in front of the Obama Library the week before the Democratic National Convention and talk about how the schools are failing because the money is going to the migrants. Shout out to my dog, DeFrank. Gotta love Silverado says, MAGA outfits prices is going up. Amen. Shout out to Amen says, why haven't they been did anything in regards to mental health? You know, the best way to fix y'all mental health is to take care of y'all kids. The best way to fix the people's mental health is to make sure that you put the kids in a conducive environment that's best for them. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Y'all ready to supercharge this whole thing? All right, let's start the transition over into jobs, money, 100,000. Well, first we got to start with Google. Now, there's been a lot of protesting. First, let's go over to New York before we start to get into Google. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Right now, a Fox News alert right outside of Columbia University. It looks like the police have had enough, and they're making arrests right now. They decided that they were going to block and obstruct the traffic right there on the sidewalk. They didn't have a permit to be protesting there. Right. It'll be interesting to see what the charges are going to be.
Well, they need a few days in jail, I hope.
And you can see it, screen left right there, one of those bike racks, they call them here in New York City.
That looks like a foreign country, honestly. This looks like the stuff that I used to see on the news back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And what we would see, and they would do international news, and they would pan over, and we wouldn't really care about it, or we wasn't concerned about it like we are now. And because we wasn't having as much of an issue on American soil, and the only thing that we were concerned about is the United States participation in our troops getting home safely. And why were we participating in wars that we knew not of? Well, it turns out that we was doing it because there was resources over in other countries that we needed to take control of. And so it was important for us to participate in it and then possibly come up with something as a reason for us to be over there in the first place that wasn't even really a reason for us to be there except for the money. That's neither here nor there. But this looks like something out of one of those times where you would be looking at these other countries and they was warring and they was fighting. It looks the same. It's very much the same.
That is the structure. As you can see right there, they've made essentially a box where the protesters were supposed to be, and that is where they were the night before, where, as you can see, they had the fire. The reason they were not on campus is because the president of Columbia was on campus, rather in Washington, D.C. yesterday, saying essentially, we're cracking down on this.
Yeah,
so what do?
Like
They step off campus, they light the fire, they light the torch, they have the big protest. Now this morning, somebody's being arrested.
It looks like Gaza. Yeah. But it's New York City.
That's what I literally have never watched this video before. It's my first time watching this video, and they saying it. They said, man, this looks like Gaza, and it's really New York City. It looks like Gaza, but this is really New York City.
What a great city this is.
Don't believe what they say. We don't believe this. They have been very clear what they believe. You got one professor said that the warriors, the resistant fighters that were in Hamas, numbered less than 1,500. And look how they flipped the table. Not only on settler colonial state, but with no definable borders, but rather the whole world. You don't need mass movements to change the world. So there's radical statements from these professors, from these students, and it looks like the cops are finally shutting this down.
And they're more than what y'all say, 4,000 students, 4,700 that are Jewish that go to school at Columbia, and the ones that we've interviewed say that they are scared.
Well, as soon as we figure out what the people are being charged with and who the people are, we will bring that to you right here on Fox.
But in New York, they can just arrest you without charging you. Ask Donald Trump. New York City subways, there was on an Instagram account, have these people have taken over subways last night saying some type of chant, we're proud of Iran, Iran, we're proud of you. Yemen, we are proud of you, and these Jewish students taped it, and it's on Instagram.
It's important to note, as we looked at the live shots, there's two different groups that are on the campus right now. You got the campus where you see the tents that are actually on campus. Those are students because it's a private institution.
The Gaza Inn campus.
The Gaza Inn, that's where they're having their little Chaz zone, the pro-Hamas group. Then outdoors, these are the non-students. They can't get on campus. They were the ones that were setting the fire, and that's why the cops are moving in on them right now. It looks like they were doing this all night long.
Look at this dude.
They were met by some counter-protesters that were waving the Israeli flags last night, too.
We didn't have to get early to have a job. It really helps to be able to party through the night.
Always a white woman out there, right in the middle of it. Always a white, every single time. It never fails. It's always a white woman out there doing a thing. Every single time it happens to the white women. Real talk. But it wasn't just in New York City that they was out there protesting. These fools, and when I say fools, I'm saying that, listen, bro, at the end of the day, regardless of where you stand on the spectrum, and I'm talking about the intelligence spectrum, whether you're incredibly intelligent and you wise, or you're incredibly crazy and you stupid, no matter where you stand on the spectrum, under no circumstances do you protest at the place that you work at. But this is what they was doing over at Google.
Working at Google may be seen as a dream career for many, but software engineer Iman Hassim has moral disagreements with the company involving the war in Gaza. Now, she and other employees are standing up for what they believe is right, no matter the cost.
I would not like to lose my job, but I think it is impossible for me to continue coming into work every week without acknowledging and loudly condemning Project Nimbus and any support for the Israeli government.
Google, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide.
Across the country from New York to Sunnyvale, Googlers are fighting back. A group of employees even occupied Google Cloud CEO Thomas Kurian's office. They shared letters from fellow workers during a live stream speaking out against the harassment, mistreatment, and censorship of Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim Googlers.
I am not proud to work for Google. I am ashamed to work for Google. And the only reason I'm still working for Google is because of my fellow workers at No Tech for Apartheid organizing against Nimbus and against...
Yeah, then why you ain't show your face? You got all of that to say, but you got them glasses on and you got that fake. But guess what? Guess what? Google got that technology. They probably can peer right through that mask and see exactly who. They using voice recognition to understand exactly who it is. What? Oh, so you just gonna come into my office and you gonna occupy my office? You gonna come into my office and occupy? Man, listen, bro, listen. These people have lost their rabbit minds. You running into my office and you talking big junk. Big junk.
I am ashamed to work for Google. And the only reason I'm still working for Google is because of my fellow workers at No Tech for Apartheid organizing against Nimbus and against tech complicit in genocide.
Among the organizers' demands is a stop to the billion-dollar Google Cloud AI contract with the Israeli government, named Project Nimbus.
Trump! Nimbus! Trump! Nimbus!
The cloud services from Nimbus include facial recognition, object tracking, and other custom technology from Google and Amazon Web Services. Employees believe the services from Project Nimbus are fueling the first AI-powered genocide in Gaza.
Through Project Nimbus, it is clear to me that Google values money over people's lives.
We've already had some Googlers resign, citing that Project Nimbus was the main concern for their poor mental health, and was the reason why they had to leave Google.
Hasim understands why some choose to leave, but she hopes to remain employed so she and this group can continue to fight so all employees can feel safe once again.
Cool. So you still want your job, but you want to do what you want to do when you want to do it. I'm with that. I can understand that. Well, Google may not understand that as much. Google said, you know what? Listen. We talked to HR, we talked to our lawyers, and guess what? I'm gonna go ahead and need you to remove yourself, turn in your key card, give us your laptop, and let me go ahead and take this $300,000-$400,000 a year job away from you. All right, big dog?
Okay, meantime, Google terminating 28 employees yesterday. This after a series of protests over the company's contract to provide the Israeli government and military with cloud computing and AI services. Some also said they were protesting the, quote, harassment, intimidation, bullying, silencing and censorship of Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim Googlers. On Tuesday night, 9 Google workers were arrested on trespassing charges after staging a sit-in at the company's office in New York and Sunnyvale, California. In an email last night, a Google executive...
Hey, anybody want a job over there in Sunnyvale, California? So I believe that as of tomorrow, Friday, possibly Monday, Google will be listing these positions as open. It comes with equity into the company. Also, you get free lunch. In addition to that, you may get relocation services, and you get a really, really nice bonus and a really sign-on bonus, and you get annual bonuses and raises, and it starts off with a lot of money. Hybrid work schedule. You got to make sure that you have a good ethics, good moral character. You can't be on a sex offenders list. You got to be very careful about not protesting inside of the Google Cloud office, especially the CEO's office, okay? But Google has some job openings, and if anybody want to go over there to California, I know it may be rough over in California, but you may want to make the trip depending on what the compensation package is. They got 28 new openings at least, possibly more to come.
Telling workers that 28 people were fired. They were found to be involved in protests that took over office space, defaced property, and impeded the work of other Googlers. Joining us right now is Jason Greer, Greer Consulting founder and president. And I'm going to start with this very question.
Yes.
Would you hire any of these folks who were fired yesterday for being involved in this protest? Meaning, was it disqualifying? I mean, we're partially asking, should have they been fired? But we're partially asking, now that they've been fired, should they have an opportunity elsewhere or not?
100%. I would hire these folks in a second because they are clearly true believers.
Never trust a man that has no mustache and no beard. Never trust a man that has no mustache and no beard. Now, what did you expect for this man to even say? I would have prefaced this by saying, man, listen, next question, or please don't ask me if I would hire these people, because he got a consulting firm. I don't trust no man that got that powder blue suit on, no mustache, no beard. He can't be trusted. Absolutely, positively not. You could forget it. You could forget it. Stop it.
In terms of the question, should they have been fired? Look, Google set this precedent back in 2018 when employees staged their own share of walkouts, and they said that we don't agree with the work that they were doing at Project Maven. Google shut it down. So why wouldn't they attempt to do the exact same thing today? What's the difference between 2018 and today?
Don't you think? I mean, I would make a different argument to you. I would actually say there's a big difference between 2018 and today, which
huge.
Is that Google has tried, I think, quite vehemently to change the culture of the company and to make it clear that these types of protests are not allowed. And so the question is, yes, if that was part of the culture then, but if you have an explicit arrangement and you're an employee of a company, there are channels with which you can protest, if you will, and have your voice heard. But having a sit-in, trespassing, defacing property and the like goes to a question about judgment. And I think that there is a question about whether you want to hire people who have that judgment or not.
If I'm looking to hire people who are willing to hold me accountable to the missions and values of our company, absolutely. Got to understand with the average Google worker, they're not looking at the fact that we work for Google. They're looking at the fact that since we work for Google, we work for the world. The decisions that we make as a company will impact the world. But this is why I say to tech companies, especially CEOs, because I talk to them all the time.
No, you don't.
This is exactly the
No,
reason
you
why
don't. No, stop. Hold on. Let me rewind this. Let me make sure I heard what he said.
Tech companies, especially CEOs, because I talk to them all the time.
How often do you talk to him? You got him on speed dial? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. You called Elon? Hey Elon, I need to ask you a couple questions.
This is exactly the reason why we're seeing union organizing going through the roof in the tech industry. Because the thing that Google's facing is what many other tech companies are facing, is that they have employees who are legitimately saying or asking the question, what do we stand for? And if we determine what we stand for, what are we going to do to make sure that we continue to stand for that very thing? So what the tech industry is seeing today is exactly what manufacturing saw 60 years ago, where workers are asking the ultimate question, what do we stand for?
Jason, it's a difficult subject, and I think especially because we're in it right now, and we see what's happening in Gaza, in Israel.
He got a mustache?
And people rightly have feelings about who's right in that situation. But I think if you take the specifics out of it and you just say, hey, protesting at a company when they tell you not to. If we go back to the 80s and we're talking about South Africa, right? Or if we go back a little further and we're talking about civil rights in this country, you know, can we say that people who have protested, despite a company saying that they shouldn't be hired anywhere else?
Absolutely not. I mean, I understand. You just talked about the fact that we're talking about, you know, civil rights back in the 60s. Thank God we had those folks that sat in, those folks that sat in lunch counters, because I wouldn't be here today having this conversation with you. I think what it comes down to is there has to be two sides to this. On one side, the employers have a responsibility not only to their shareholders, their responsibility to their external shareholders, their stakeholders, which are the employees. On the other side, what employees need to take a look at is, if we're going to hold our company accountable, what are the channels? And this gets back to the original question. What are the channels that we need to follow internally to make sure that we're holding the company accountable? Do we talk to our managers? Do we talk to human resources? Do we talk to the executives?
No, you could just go ahead and talk to the unemployment office now, because we ain't got to worry about it. We ain't got to worry about it. You could just talk to human resources. That way we can solve for this problem and we can put it to rest, and we ain't got to worry about it no more. So, long story short, your favorite Googler is now going to the unemployment office, and we're going to see how that plays out for him long term. Shout out to Chris Donaldson in the building. Says, for the collection plate, respect you, OG. I respect you too, Chris Donaldson. Thank you for that donation, that love that you're showing to me on Cash App. It is really, really appreciated. King Stennis says, I'm still confused as to why they're not overseas. Because they want to take advantage of the opportunities that happen here and then dictate what the companies are doing here that hired them and gave them that opportunity. They want their cake and they eating it too. They eat the cake, anime. Therese Kushranada says, this is why I never involve myself in any form of public outrage. Never. Stay out of that junk, bro. You'll find yourself on the unemployment line. Highly Offensive says, if they think January 6th was bad, the liberals are going to show out if Trump wins. These little protests is nothing. Nah, liberals is weak. All they do is protest. J. Ben says, bag chasers, Google has openings. Submit applications. Shout out to the Patreon members. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Mr. Lott says, when DEI goes wrong, never fumble the bag. Never fumble the bag. My girl kicking it with a chef says, California though? I don't know, Anton. Yeah, depends on the numbers. If the numbers make sense, then we're going to have to make that adjustment, kicking. Jay Johnson says, how is it these goofies would fight to the death at a soccer game, but when it's really time for war, they block roads, cry, throw hissy fits? Bruh, these are some straight weenies. Shout out to my dog, Jay Johnson. I appreciate you. Prince Elian is in the building, says, conservatives have everything to lose but do nothing to keep it, while liberals and progressives have nothing to lose but go to extremes to get what they want. Thank you for contributing into the platform, my dog, Prince Elian, and everybody that continues to support me. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Now, considering that, let me help you to understand what the real world is like, okay? Tesla is laying off. But it's not just Tesla. Apple's recently laid off some employees. There's been layoffs across the board. But not only has there been layoffs, what I've seen is that there's a lot of people that tell me, Anton, it's tough out here. It's hard out here for a pimp when you're trying to get that money for the rent. It's hard out here for a pimp. That's what they telling me. I said, is it hard out here for a pimp? I'm going to get to that well-building journey. I appreciate you. I said, it's hard out here for a pimp. You ain't know, eh? You ain't know, eh? King Stennis, you must not be a part of the bag chasers. We've divested from Tesla so long ago. Actually, it might even be a buying opportunity right now, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to discuss that in the next Stock Club. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Check it out.
Tesla has laid off thousands of employees, which equates to around 14,000 jobs nationwide. These layoffs directly impacted Tesla workers in Central Texas. 6 News anchor Adriana Alexander spoke with a now former employee who says this layoff comes as a real surprise. Adriana, we hate to see it.
Definitely hate to see it. I spoke to a former Tesla employee at the Gigafactory near Austin earlier today. They had to remain anonymous because they signed a non-disclosure agreement with the company. But they said when they went to clock in to work this morning, it didn't work, and an email followed an hour later saying they were terminated. CEO Elon Musk sent out a memo to employees saying the company is preparing for its next phase of growth, citing cost reductions and increasing productivity as driving factors. Tesla reported car sales were down 9% in the first quarter this year compared to last year, as there more electric car competition on the market. For this employee, them and their co-workers assumed they were being transferred to a different department, not knowing they would be losing their jobs and never returning.
We thought we were going to Cybertruck. That's the new department that the new vehicle we're building. They've been rounding people up to go up there because they just opened night shift. I got my first apartment working at Tesla. I just got my first car. Like, you know, I have bills. I have a life, actually, outside of work. And that's what they never understood.
Now, we don't know exactly the number of layoffs that occurred at the Gigafactory. That former employee, as well as dozens of others on social media, just wished for a heads up so they could have prepared to find another job sooner. Chris?
Yeah, you feel.
Nope, that's not how it works. Usually what happens is you don't know that the layoffs is coming. They just wind up hitting you in the face like a Mack truck. Boom. You don't know that the layoffs is coming. Nope. You know the funny part about this all is we also got the UAW trying to mobilize and unionize Tesla. Good luck with that. But layoffs, especially in the auto industry and in the manufacturing industry, is as old as time itself. I mean, since at least 1908, layoffs has always been a part of it. And I don't think that it's just because sales is down 9%. I think it's because robots, replacements, they don't need as many people in order to do the manufacturing process anymore. They getting rid of y'all. They don't care nothing about your apartment. They don't care nothing about none of that. That's why you don't fumble the bag. Now is the absolute worst time to voluntarily get fired and lose your bag. I know it's a lot of cupcakes that's out here protesting, and 28 people just wind up getting fired from Google. Listen, now, election year, inflation is up. People are requiring you to come into the office, especially if you got a good job, especially if you're doing something like working from home, especially if you cushy out here in these streets. Now is the absolute worst time over the last 5 years that I can think of for you to come out here and fumble a bag.
Employees at Tesla were told the company will lay off over 10% of its workforce. This comes just a week before Tesla will announce its first quarter earnings, and profits have declined in the past year. Reports say the job cuts will be amounting to about 14,000 people. Fox's Carissa Lemkule spoke to some of the employees from the Tesla plant in Austin.
Cybertrucks line the side of the highway in southeast Austin amid new reports that Tesla is temporarily halting deliveries as a top Tesla exec announces his resignation on Twitter and the company announces mass layoffs.
Just out of the blue, they laid me off.
They didn't tell you to sign a non-disclosure agreement, big dog? Bradley, we coming for you. Yeah, Brad. Yeah, Brad, we coming for you, Brad.
Till Monday, Bradley Olson worked on Model Ys at the Gigafactory.
At 2 a.m., which is middle of the day for me because I was overnight shift. Just look at my phone and my Microsoft Teams logged me out. I was like, oh, okay, I probably just need to reset my password.
Nope.
But then I tried and they said, and then it says my account was blocked. And I had like a straight up panic attack.
Some employees even showed up to work Monday morning.
I was literally standing outside trying to figure out why my badge isn't working. Why is it that I can't log in?
The employees Fox spoke to were sent an email notifying them around 3 Monday morning. It notes the need for cost reductions and increasing productivity, though, quote, this decision was not made lightly. Employees were told in the memo that their last working day was Sunday, the day prior. Also included in the email, a warn notice in case of, quote, any possible obligation under federal or state law. The WARN Act requires companies with a certain number of employees to provide notice 60 days in advance ahead of plant closures or mass layoffs. Official employment termination will occur as early as June 14th. And according to Tesla, employees will receive further information regarding severance packages and benefits continuation within 48 hours of the original email.
That's called Cobra. If anybody has ever lost their job, you know what Cobra is looking like. Y'all know what Cobra is? Cobra is what they send you in order to continue your benefits, especially when it comes to healthcare coverage. But you just got laid off from your job, so you can't afford it anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I done been there back in 2008. They say, here, man, here's Cobra. This is a continuation of your healthcare coverage, and if you want to keep your benefits, you can continue to pay for it separately out of your own pocket. I said, man, I ain't got no job. I ain't got no job. How I'm going to be able to continue the coverage with no job, man? Yeah. A lot of people not. I didn't even know if they still had Cobra. It's been so long. It's been so long. I promised myself after 2008. I personally promised myself after 2008 that I would never Maria Lovely says, stop laughing at people's pain. I'm going to laugh all I want to. Don't laugh at people's pain. Shut up, Cupcake. Let me get you on a big screen since you want to tell people what to do. Oh, you a toughie, huh? Oh, you a tough one. Must be new around here. I'm not sure if I've ever heard of you before, Maria. Don't laugh at people's pain. Listen, if you're going to be around here, you're going to have to get some thick skin. If you're going to be around here, you're going to have to get some thick skin. We don't care about feelings over here. We only care about the results. We not looking to make you feel good over here. We only care about the results. This is a reality check. This is a reality check. You know why? Because I've been there, did that, lost it all. Been there, done that, lost it all, got my cars repossessed, had to move back into my mom's basement. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the best thing that ever happened to me in my entire life. You know why? Because it forced me to be uncomfortable and then start making different decisions instead of being interdependent on somebody else in order for me to be able to survive and feed my family. Pain is good. See, this is what these women don't understand. Pain is good. Pain drives out all of the imperfections and the impurities in your life, and then it forces you to get yourself together and to put yourself in a position to never have to depend on nobody else again. Pain is good. Suffering is good. You got to go through it to get to it, baby. Got to go through it to get to it. Ain't nobody going to feel sorry for you. You mad at me or you mad at Tesla for laying you off? You mad at me or you mad at Google for firing you? Listen, that same energy that you got directed about being worried about whether somebody care about you, you need to channel it and dedicate yourself and finding yourself and putting yourself in a position to where it never, ever, 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 ever happens again. I promised myself in 2008, I will never, under any circumstance, ever be under duress and put my fate in the hands of somebody else. I'm going to have 8 streams of income. I'm going to make sure that I stay down for 10 years so that I then put myself in a position if anything was to ever happen, I'm going to be straight. I'm going to stay down. I'm not going to adjust my lifestyle to what my income is. I'm going to completely remix what I thought that success looks like. I'm not going to be sitting here waiting on no company to lay me off, hoping that I still got a job, still showing up to the door. No, listen. I'm going to get as much money as I can, and I'm going to look at it from a business perspective, and then I'm going to gird up. I'm going to gird up, and I'm going to be in a position of power. When everybody was buying homes because everybody was under duress, I made up my mind right then and there. I said, I'm going to be a buyer from now on. I'm going to be a buyer from now on. I see buildings going up. I see opportunities. I'm always at the forefront. I want to participate in the conversation. It is a growth opportunity. Other people's pain is our profit from now on because we're not going to be on the outside looking in. We're going to be on the inside leveraging. You waiting on somebody to give you an opportunity. You hoping that America give you a job. You waiting on reparations. You hoping that they don't lay you off. Nah, we're going to be in a position of power always. Never putting all of our eggs in one basket. Always betting on ourselves. 100% of the time. 100% of the time. I'm never going to put myself in a position to have to worry about whether or not my family going to eat and be sitting up here on an anonymous live stream on the news talking about I can't speak unless it's on condition of anonymity. But hey, man, they laid me off and I just bought a house. I don't know what I'm going to do. No, I was never going to ever let my daughter experience that. My daughter didn't get a chance to ever experience what it is that we went through because she was too young to understand it. She was a baby. And let me tell you what really broke my heart. I remember that they was coming and they was taking my car. They was flashing lights into my crib. The repo men, it was 5 of them, and they was all walking around the house. And I heard my daughter crying in the bedroom, and everybody was trying to be quiet because they didn't want nobody to know that we was there. When the repo man was trying to take our cars and we was trying to block it in the draft, I said, never again. Never again. Thank God my daughter isn't old enough to even be able to realize that we getting our cars took, and she in there crying. I had a baby crying and a wife that was depending on me. That was my motivation. That's real life. That's real life. Listen, I'm not telling you nothing that I ain't never been through. See, I'm not that far removed. I know what it feels like to suffer at the lowest levels. I know what it feels like to really lose everything that you thought that you was making and getting the bag from. I know what it's like. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'll never forget it.
AntonDaniels.com.
What's up, Greg D? What you doing, big dog?
I am being a big back and eating again.
I got a question for you. I'm on a live stream, right? I need you to be absolutely transparent.
Oh, God.
No, real talk. You remember when the repo man came to come get my cars?
Yes.
What do you remember that day?
All I remember is you had that black Trailblazer SS,
Mm-hmm.
and they showed up at the door trying to get the car, and I went outside and we moved all of the cars around to block that truck in so that they couldn't get to it. And then, didn't they call the police or something like that? And they, waited a long time, but we wouldn't move our cars just so that they couldn't get to your truck.
I remember unless he was crying in the door.
Yes. It was very chaotic, but either way, they didn't get their
And they
car.
was flashing the lights
did.
in the crib.
They did. They was walking around the house, flashing flashlights inside of the house. And we just sat in there like nothing happened. And then the police couldn't do nothing about it. That's crazy. I remember that.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I never forget it.
Apparently you did something to catch it up because they never did get it.
It is what it is.
Yep.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye. I don't know who y'all think y'all talking to. I wasn't privileged. Nobody ever gave me nothing. Nobody gave me nothing. Nobody. I know what it means to lose everything, to have it all and to lose it all. And they embarrassed us. They embarrassed us. Listen, they didn't just come and try to take our stuff. They embarrassed us in front of our neighbors, in front of the police department. All of the neighbors was looking out the door. Everybody was all looking and trying to figure out what was going on. Neighbors was coming out. The association was paying attention. They embarrassed us. They made sure that they made us feel the dumbest that we ever felt in our entire life. In the middle of the time that it was the worst thing that could possibly happen inside of the city of Detroit because we was going through it. I had a little baby, a wife, and they embarrassed us. And that night, I remember the day, I remember the time, I wrote it down, and I never forgot it. That night, I made up in my mind that I'm never, ever, under any circumstances, ever going to ever put myself in a position to where somebody can take something from me or determine my fate or determine the course of my daughter's life. Nothing was ever going to stop me. I was never going to sleep. I was going to have a work ethic that exceeded every single person. Y'all sit here and y'all ask me, look, man, Anton, it seemed like it's 10 of you. How come you don't sleep? How come you don't? Because I got that burned into my memory. I got that burned into my spirit. Whenever I start to get tired or whenever I start to feel like everything is starting to fall, you know what I'm saying? I'm starting to get a little bit more winded. I adjust things and then I remember and I read what I wrote. It's on a piece of paper. I read what I wrote that day, that night. I framed it. I framed it. I got two things that's framed. One of them is the first dollar that I ever made from my businesses and my restaurants. And the other thing is that letter that I wrote to myself that I would never, ever, ever sleep or anything like that unless I made sure that every single thing was taken care of every day. I never let one day go by. I don't miss. I don't miss. I don't miss. Ever. I'm never, ever going to be in a position like that again. And that's what drove me. That's what drove me. So you're not talking to somebody that's just new to this. That's the blessing that came from it. I didn't look at it as something that was negative. I ain't even going to play this next one. I didn't look at it as something that was negative. I look at it as something that was positive. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. That's why my daughter is driving a $100,000 car. To make up from the shit that they took from me. That's why my wife lived the life that she lived. That's why I take $30,000 flights. To remind myself and to make up for everything that I felt like the devil took from me, I took it back. And I got a return on that investment. Talk to me about suffering. I could tell you some stories about suffering. I could tell you some real stories about suffering in real life. Wealth building journey in the building says, stopping through between meetings, kicking off budget planning and priorities for the new fiscal year. Did you get to the 100K middle class piece? No, we get into that next. We get into that next. Shout out to the wealth building journey. I appreciate you, big dog. That's why when I see people and I get on these coaching calls and all of this stuff, Uncle C's, you got the story completely off. But as usual, people always, they try to mess up the story in order to try to emphasize a point. But we're not going to worry about it. We just going to go ahead and remove the bad actors because I'm not going to mess up the context by which I'm telling y'all in order to inspire y'all. It's always one that get the story off, that don't understand what the hell is going on. Not going to let that energy affect what we got popping. Not going to let that energy affect us. Let me see what else we got going on out here. Kicking it with a chef said, Tesla said, get out of here. Get out of here. And it amazes me sometimes because I be seeing people and they be like, oh man, I'm trying to figure out how to get to it. And I'll be like, well, what does your day look like? What does your day look like? I was just chilling today. Like, wait a minute, you telling me that you just chilling all day and I work harder than you and I got more than you and you're not going to outwork me? It's crazy to me. Shout out to Kicking It With a Chef. Tanisha is in the building, says, I got this super sticker for you, big. Thank you, Tanisha. I appreciate you, love. You always welcome here. Melvin Johnson says, BYD might hire Build Your Dreams. That's the Chinese company. Better get that resume emailed. China's coming. Brittany B is in the building, says, not Elon making them sign NDAs. Yep. Devastator says, most states are at will. Don't expect a heads up. They could just fire you at will. Absolutely. Amen on one says, tables turn and I have to, AD. Shout out to Amen. Chase Barnes has said, AD with the Wario laugh. I laugh at people. I laugh. I be cracking up. I be cracking up because I just be like, oh, look at these little snowflakes. Look at these little snowflakes. We living in 2024. It's 2024, y'all. We got more opportunity and more options to get to a bag than ever before. Think I'm about to sleep on this opportunity? This is like a gold rush, honestly. The times that we living in right now is like a gold rush for those of us that get it. And it's like, I'm not about to let nothing slip through my hands. I'm going to get it all. I'm going to get every coin, every dollar. I'm going to get it. Charles Freeman in the building says, you are an inspiration to us. God bless AD. I love that man. Shout out to my dog, Charles Freeman. We in a gold rush and people is missing out on the opportunity, man. Let's get to this last segment of the show. 100K. 100K, I recently seen a video that dropped that said 100K isn't enough anymore for the American dream. I wanted to react to it in real time just like y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's finish up strong, y'all.
More than half of Americans say they would need at least $100,000 a year to be financially comfortable.
The benchmark of a six-figure salary used to be the gold standard income. It represented the tipping point of finally earning a disposable income and building a savings, spending based on your wants, not just your needs.
The American dream is what makes a middle-class lifestyle. You're able to pay your bills. You're able to put food on the table, put a roof over your family's head, and you have some additional savings.
Now, people making well over six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck. What used to symbolize financial freedom is now keeping people stressed about making ends meet.
26% say they would need more. A salary in the range of $100,000 to $149,000 per year would make them feel financially comfortable.
Remember when just a few years ago I was telling y'all and I was like, man, listen, some of y'all remember because some of y'all actually understand. We in season 4 of the Millionaire Morning Show. I said, you got it, Sabrina. You said it. You hit the nail on the head. I predicted it. I said it. I said, listen, y'all, inflation and the cost of living is going to explode so much. It's going to explode so much to where $100,000 is going to be nothing. That's just going to be like, and I even did a whole show and I said, listen, if you're making $50,000, this was 3 years ago. I said, if you're making $50,000 and you got a family of 4, you in trouble. You're in trouble because 50K is going to feel like poverty for a lot of people based off of what we about to experience when it comes to inflation and the things that's happening in this economy and on this earth. Everybody's expectations is going to be blown away, and 100K is going to now feel like the new 50K. I've been preaching this till my face turned blue. I've been saying it to you. I've been advocating for you. I've been pushing for you. I said, listen, this is what we got to do. I've been breaking it down. I said it in mastermind sessions, in the coaching calls, on the Patreon, here on the Millionaire Morning Show, on the Anton Daniels channel. I've been saying it. So much so to where I had to remix my message. And I said, listen, y'all, the goal is to make $200,000 to $250,000 next year. I said, listen, we're going to start on January 1st, and I want y'all to push. I need y'all to push. Push. You can do it. Prepare yourself now to get your businesses started. Make sure that you align your 401k. Make sure your investments are straight. That's why we started Stock Club. I said, listen, y'all, let's prepare ourselves. We all the way in the middle of the year. This is 2023. The goal next year is to make this amount of money. Put yourself in a position. Make sure you align your calendar. Make sure you get your skills set up. Prepare yourself in your resume. Start looking now. Make sure that you get a second position that you can work twice in the same position that you have at the same time in order to be able to double your income. And I've been pushing y'all and pushing y'all and pushing y'all. And if I don't remind you, you just forget about it and you go back to the status quo because you're so easily distracted by the things that don't even mean anything. And I said it. I said, listen, it's coming. Y'all going to have some of the biggest buying opportunities of a lifetime. And if you're not invested, if you don't have equity into it, you're going to miss out on it. You're going to miss out. And sure enough, played out exactly how we said it was going to play out. And now people are moving the goalposts even further. And they saying, listen, it ain't even 100. Listen, we way past $40,000, $50,000. They said it ain't even 100 no more. Remember y'all used to say 100 was a high value, man? And then I moved it and I said, no. You got to make at least $250,000 to $300,000 to be considered high value based off of the standards and the criteria of yesteryear. And y'all said, no, Anton, you crazy. You just talking that rich talk. I said, I'm telling you, people that's going to be making $100,000 a year based off of their lifestyle and the way that they go about doing things is going to be living paycheck to paycheck. Anton, you crazy. Oh, no. Tonstradamus is in the building. Tonstradamus is in the building. I'm afraid to say what I think is going to happen next year. I'm afraid to say what I think is going to happen next year. If y'all not a part of the Bag Chasers, y'all not a part of the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure y'all jump in with the Bag Chasers.
I think unfortunately what has happened is that wages haven't kept up with the cost of living by and large for the last 50 years or so. And so it becomes increasingly hard for many families to be able to attain that sort of middle class lifestyle, that American
Somebody
dream.
said most people will never even make $100,000 a year. I agree with you, but it don't have to be you. Why do y'all always categorize yourselves with the rest of the population? I never said that I ever wanted to be like everybody else. My goal was to be like myself and set the standard. And so I never judged myself or put myself and created a litmus based off of what the normal people is. I was already studying people that was ahead of me because that was then giving me the idea of what it is that I needed to do in order to get to the next level. How can I compare myself against my peers or everybody in the middle? Then that means that my standards are so low. Everybody always say, oh man, most people would never. I'm not most people, and you don't have to be either. Look, we got what? Almost a quarter million subscribers on this channel. We are but a small smidget of YouTube in the general population. I'm not preaching to everybody. I'm preaching to you. I'm inspiring you. I'm talking to you. Obviously, this is not for everybody. This is for a small segment of the population. The people that's here, the people that subscribe to the channel, the over 1,800 people that's watching this on YouTube alone, the over 2,000 people that's watching this across multiple different platforms. This is not for everybody. We but a small part of the population. Stop comparing yourself to the middle. I'm not comparing myself to people that's at the bottom.
How much you need to feel financially secure varies so much depending on not only your geographical location, but of course your lifestyle. It used to be that a 6-figure salary was like the gold standard, but nowadays that may not be enough to make ends meet in certain parts of the country, especially like New York or San Francisco, where it costs so much more just to cover your daily expenses.
Here's why a $100,000 household income no longer buys the American dream. Go Banking Rates analyzed how much a family of 2 adults and 2 children would need in each state to own a home, a car, and a pet, as well as have an additional 20% of their income for savings and 30% for discretionary spending.
The core of what the American dream means is some amount of economic security, that you feel like you can get by and do a bit better. Maybe do better than your parents, maybe be able to afford a house, certainly be able to save for your children's future.
All 50 states require more than a $100,000 annual income, with 38 states needing more than $140,000. The most affordable states, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Kentucky, need between $109,000 and $117,000. The median income for a household of 4 people in each of those states in 2022 was between $71,000 and $87,000.
That's household income. Remember that, y'all. That's everybody in the household combined. What are you guys making, right? Remember when we always talk about relationships and we talk about marriage, but then we got these unrealistic expectations for most people that are in the middle that say, oh man, I want a man to take care of me. Listen, baby, we need all of our income in order to pull ourselves out of this. Once we get to that space, then we're going to create the environment that allows for you to be able to pursue your passions and your dreams. But for right now, you was going to be working if you was by yourself hard as hell. Let's combine our resources. Let's run it up. Let's get to this bag. Let's invest in things. Let's lower our lifestyle. And then we can live the rest of our life the way that we want to. I ain't telling you got to work forever, but I am telling you that we got to have a plan. When we evaluate relationships, when we evaluate how we live our lives, we always talking about an individual conversation. Have y'all noticed that? You know why? Because we so busy being single parents and we so busy dividing ourselves against ourselves and not making smart decisions as to who it is that we need to align ourselves with. When they look at this, when they evaluate this, when they post these stats, when they talk about the median household income, it's household income. It's not on an individual basis. It's everybody contributing and combining into this vision that we have for ourselves so that we can level up. We all putting into this pot.
Hawaii, California, and Massachusetts are the most expensive.
Yes, Hawaii
Each
is
requires
crazy.
an annual income of more than $240,000. The median income for a family of 4 in those 3 states in 2022 fell at least $94,000 short of what's required for the American
Sabrina.
dream. A different analysis from EPI found that in about 80% of the country, a family of 4 can afford their basic needs on less than $100,000 per year. Those include things such as housing, food, transportation, healthcare, childcare, taxes, and a few other basic necessities.
Now, obviously, we got a lot of factors that go into this, such as interest rates and loans and, whatever it is that you owe in debt and credit cards and all of that. And I'm sure that they're probably going to start to cover that a little bit. And I'm going to play this as long as I possibly can. But remember, right now, what she's talking about is basic needs. That's why that title says that. But what we want to do is we want to live the American dream. You remember that Big Suck, season 3, episode 113? Yeah. What we talking about is living the American dream. I don't want to just live basic. I want to live exceptionally. Rita sent me a post on Instagram today, and it's of the new Hudson's building that I was telling y'all about, that GM is now the main tenant in that they making their headquarters, right? And I said, yeah, and it was saying that, yep, it's set to open or whatever and all of this stuff. And she said, what do you think about this? Because believe it or not, we actually go by and we look at a lot of stuff, and it was saying that it's going to be a 5-star hotel in it and high-rise condos that's going to be available for purchase. And I told her, I said, oh yeah, I already put in my inquiry to be one of the first people in line to be able to purchase a condo in that building. And she was like, oh, you purchasing a condo to, what you want? She said, but we already got the other place downtown. I said, yeah. One of them is going to be, the offices and as an extension of one of the businesses that's in the business name. And the other one is going to be for real estate purposes. She said, oh, you want to buy it? I said, we're going to buy it and we're going to look at it from a business perspective of how we can leverage it. She was like, and literally her reply was, I'm so proud of you. Glad I can be a part of it. I said, I got big plans. She said, I'm so proud of you, and I'm glad I can be a part of it with you. That's what she said. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it is what it is. I want everything. I want everything. Everything. Everything that I can possibly get my hands on, I want it all. I want everything that's coming to me good. Everything. Everything that they thought that they stole from me, I want it back with interest, plus some. I have no limits on me.
It doesn't take into account anything extra. It's really just putting food on the table, putting a roof over your head, getting health care for your family. And so you're not saving for a rainy day if something happens to somebody or if they lose their job. So there's no extra in there for retirement, for kids' college. Those are the kinds of things that many people want to save for. Those are the many things that people consider a part of the American dream.
Only about 3% of those counties have a median income higher than the basic cost of living.
The idea behind the American dream hasn't really changed, even though lifestyles have. It used to be that you could get out of school, get a job, buy a home, and start a family, and now those milestones are harder to achieve.
Used to be that
I think
a
it's
high
easier to
school
achieve.
degree, you're good to go. You could get a great job building cars or something and be right in the middle class.
I think it's easier than
off of
ever.
a high school
We don't even
degree.
have to
But
work
now,
as hard to do it now.
In order to get into the middle class,
They
a
had
high
to
school
physically
degree
work
is
back there.
clearly not enough, right? Now you gotta pay for college.
People are graduating with much larger student loan balances, and then
Shout
it's
out to
harder
Burt
to be
Reynolds.
on that
I'ma read
same
that
sort
super
of
chat
career
shortly.
trajectory that would provide the stability that you maybe would have had a generation ago to save up for the down payment on a home.
Student loan debt reached an all-time high of $1.77 trillion in the first quarter of 2023.
Student loan debt, one of the very things that kills the American dream. Going into and investing in something that's not, don't y'all realize that student loans is exactly what it said? It's a loan, meaning that it's an investment. They're investing, or they're allowing for you to invest in your future. And so you got to pick something. You got to minimize the amount that you take out, and then you ultimately got to invest in your future. One of the things that's killing the American dream is not earning. It's not the fact that jobs are harder. Jobs are easier than before. Most people got hybrid schedules or they work from home. It's easier than it's ever been before. You can run a business, start a business, be working on a business, and be doing whatever it is that you're doing at your regular job at the same time. A lot of times you can do it while you actually in the office. But debt has exploded. That's the part of the equation that they're not adding in there. Look at what it used to be in 2007. Look at what it's at now in 2024. We're not even going to go all the way back to the 80s. There's other factors. It's your lifestyle. It's Instagram. It's being compelled to do stuff that's not best for you so you can impress people that don't even care. It's a lot of other factors that then affect your ability to tap into the American dream. It's easier than ever, but you got to be more disciplined. It's like more temptation that's available to you.
Can have a ripple effect, especially when entire generations are starting their adulthoods with thousands of dollars in debt.
That's true too.
So when you think about the kinds of investments you want to make for your children, the cost of college has gone up a lot faster than overall inflation. So trying to make those investments on a smaller and smaller paycheck compared to the cost of living can be very difficult.
Or you can just go to community college. That's always been there. Drive out the cost of it. See, they try to make things to be so much harder than it really is. You go to community college, you do your 2 years, you pay for it in cash, you minimize the amount of money and expenses that it takes for you because you only paying a fraction of the tuition costs, the per credit hour tuition costs, and then you transfer over into a major university, your degree is still going to say the same thing. And you can get your certs on the way. Oh, Anton, but college cost is so much higher. It's always been a life hack. It's a life hack. For everything that you think is preventing you to get into that space, it's a life hack. And it's usually right there in front of your face, but you don't want to pay attention to it.
And almost impossible. And so the kinds of debt that young people can rack up going to college gets larger and larger, and your ability to then make ends meet yourself, be able to buy a car, be able to move out of your parents' house, those things become much
Or
more
you can stay in your parents' house longer and minimize the amount of money that you're spending on housing by saving and stacking up. Group economics? What? Community college? No. Group economics? Community college? What? These are not new concepts. All of this stuff has been around since the beginning of time. The people that leverage the information is ultimately going to be the winners.
The American dream typically is people owning property and having children, but that's becoming largely inaccessible for many people. And even those who have attained these things are finding themselves managing every dollar coming in and out just to stay afloat. So that trade-off is underlying the new cost of the American dream.
Millennials and Gen Zers still want to buy homes despite feeling like they can't afford it. 62% of younger millennials and 63% of Gen Zers still say owning a home is part of the American dream. 66% of U.S. renters surveyed say rising prices leave them feeling hopeless about ever owning a home. 72% of respondents say they can't afford the down payment. 17% of all homebuyers said that saving for the down payment was the most difficult task in the buying process, and 52% said student loan debt delayed their ability to save. The typical first-time homebuyer in 2022 had a household income of $95,900. Nationally, a prospective homebuyer would need a nearly $110,000 salary to afford the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payments on a median price home. But the median household income in the United States in 2022 was a little under $75,000.
If you're born into a nice neighborhood in which your parents have lots of wealth and lots of income, your chances of doing well are vastly improved.
Did y'all know that? Here, I'm going to stop this for a second. Did y'all know that the overwhelming majority, I believe over 80%, almost 90% of millionaires are new millionaires? Most people that become millionaires did not inherit their wealth. They earn it. Vastly outweighing the people that inherit wealth. There are 1,600 to 1,700 new millionaires minted every single day. 1,700 people become millionaires every single day. That is a fact. That is not my opinion. That is not me just throwing something out there. That is not my opinion. That is according to Fortune magazine, CNN, Investopedia, Enterprise Apps Today, and also retweeted on X. On average, according to even Timothy Sykes. Oh, you don't believe it. I know you don't believe it. You never do. You never, ever do. You think that it's impossible for you to ever achieve the American dream. Every single day, there are 1,700 new millionaires every single day. Every day. That means that people get it out the mud. It's not inherited. This is something that just becomes a part of their lives because they hustlers, they grinding, and they going to get it. Go and look it up for yourself. They'll share this with you. On average, 1,700 new millionaires every day. You telling me that I can't be a part of that? All I got to do is be one of them. One of the days of the year. 365 days in a year. You telling me I can't be it's 1,700 people every day that's beating me? Bull crap. Bull crap. I don't believe it. No way you gonna ever convince me that that's a real thing. Maybe I'm just too optimistic. Maybe I'm too optimistic for this pessimistic world. And I just don't belong here or something, but maybe that's just the difference between winners and losers. I don't know. MB, shout out to MB, says, what can you say to Fed workers coming to make less than $60,000 in a DMV area, thinking they have made it in life? In a way, they have made it in life. Because one of the reasons why I picked the job that I picked before I even graduated college, one of the reasons why I chose to work at the University of Michigan, I had been working on my businesses, so I wasn't interdependent at that point on my salary in order to make sure that I was running up a bag. But I picked it because they had great benefits, number one, and then they financed me to continue my education in order to go over to a major university after I had went to community college. And so I leveraged the university in order to do so. Some people leverage it for different reasons. Everything that you do, you got to look at it from a beneficial perspective and how you can leverage that job regardless of the salary. Maybe the benefits, it may be the tuition assistance, maybe the double match on your 401k. University of Michigan double match my 403b. That was one of the benefits. That also gave me some incredible experience that I then leveraged to get into the private sector that ultimately led to me becoming and getting up further in the executive ranks. So when you think about it from that lens, when you think about it from that perspective, really it's more about lowering your lifestyle and then leveraging that job in order to go into the next thing. It's always about leverage. It's always about leverage. It's not always about the amount. It's about the potential and how you're reverse engineering and then milestoning out what it is that you're going to get to later on in life. It's not where you at. It's where you going. What's up, babe? Previous. All right. Can't stand that girl. Gonna call me about some jeans. She went and gathered all of those jeans that I bought on my birthday. And she going to get the jeans that I haven't getting in the first place. She gonna say, about those jeans, do you want me to get? Yes, just get the previous ones. Just get the previous stuff. Calling me about no stupid god dog jeans. Oh, the stupid jeans. Anyways, let me finish these stupid super chats. No, flatback 04s, the Jordashes, the Bugle Boy jeans. Y'all couldn't wait to say something about them jeans. Stupid jeans. I was feeling exhausted from working the last 3 years on a few hours of sleep until you gave me that push. I will never go back to the bottom. Never go back to the bottom. In those jeans. I will say this though. Before I get to the other super chats, but one thing I don't fumble on. Look, I spend a lot of money on a lot of things. I spend money on my Coogis. I like hoodies. I like Versace hoodies. I'll spend thousands of dollars on a hoodie. One thing, Sassoons. Okay, I see you. But the one thing that I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna buy a crazy amount. I know dudes that be spending 12, 13, 14, 1500 dollars for jeans. And then they be out of style the next year. I can't do it. I spend $500-$600 on 10 pair of jeans. Hey man, Levi's be having that good sale, man. It'd be like buy two, get them for like something. I forgot how much they get them each. But Levi's be having some good jeans. So we gonna take them back. They not disco jeans. We gonna take them back. And we gonna get our originals. What was I getting before? 512s? I think it was 512s. Shout out to BC. I appreciate you, big dog. My dog, Big Suggs, in the building says, yep, Anton, you made the challenge on 6/16/2023 episode, season 3, episode 113. I remember. Thank you for it. A lot of people forgot about that. A lot of people just forgot about it and they stopped working. They stopped pushing themselves. Burt Reynolds 420 says, love the diversity for your channel. Red pill and political talk gets boring. Talking about money and economic, my cup of tea. Love the stream. Yeah. Disco Daniels. Oh, man. Victor Williams says, what's funny is most people work for a company not knowing they have education benefits because they never cared to ask during the interview or in the interview in order to vet properly. I'm having post-jeans depression. I do not have post-jeans depression, Chase Barnes. Are y'all tuning into the live stream tonight? Y'all tuning into the live stream on After Hours tonight? Y'all know, it was a Thursday? Thursdays is mine. Rhinestone Cowboy, oh my God. Thursdays is mine. Thursdays is mine. So I will be live streaming tonight on After Hours, and we're going to get on it. I'm not going to let y'all talk about my jeans. Thank God y'all didn't actually see me walking down the street in those jeans. Man, I was feeling like a high-waisted. Never mind, I ain't even going to say it. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order plus 20% off for life. And then make sure y'all send this to y'all friends and family because we don't want to be rich by ourselves. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Deuces. Let me read one more before we get up out of here. A.R. Jackson says, would you take a 6-month contract to hire role with a Big 3 automotive and it pays $40,000 more? Currently a FTP at a company that's non-progressive. Yes, I would. That's exactly what I did. I got hired in. I came in as a 6-month contractor. I wound up converting over into becoming a permanent employee. A.R. Jackson. So yes, that is not a bad deal. If you know that you're good and you know you can bet on yourself, then go and get that bag and take that chance. You can always go back to work at, as long as you don't mess up the opportunity that came before you as far as like having a bad reputation or whatever. Always make sure that you can go back to where you came from, but absolutely bet on yourself. I would, personally. That's what I did. That's what I would do. So absolutely, if you can make 40,000 more and possibly switch over into becoming because most jobs, especially developers in particular, we are contract to hire. So we come in as a contractor, we wind up getting hired in, and that means you got to perform too. So you got to show up, you got to perform, A.R. Jackson. Phenomenal question. Email me if y'all need anything else. AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. If y'all have questions or y'all want to get a coaching call or y'all need to do business or y'all need to propose something to me, email me at AntonDaniels413@gmail.com and I'm going to get y'all set up.